What?
Alright. Welcome to FR an hour late.
No, we're not. Nobody knows.
Our Twitter
Nobody
is just off.
No, I had the Twitter and the Instagram. Nobody cares about that stuff. We're the real influencers here. We're carrying the entire team. Between the two of us, we have we have tens of followers.
They go swim in the dams and they fight the beavers and take the clams. I don't know.
Welcome to this week's episode of FR. We've decided to do this on a weekly basis.
We decided to date ourselves every day.
Shut up! I'm talking. I'm the host now.
Yes, please.
Yeah. All right. Look. So I'm gonna level with you guys. I hate art. I hate streaming. I hate my partner, Marsh.
Would you say you would say F to art? Is that what?
I would say F to I. Oh,
Wow.
wow. But yeah, what are we gonna talk about this fine evening, Marsh?
Can we talk about how I can't do basic math?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, we talked about it.
Yeah, we were gonna start the stream an hour earlier, but Marsh, in her infinite wisdom, thought that we were gonna start an hour late for absolutely no reason.
and then and then no one noticed when I said the wrong time. They're like 15
None of
hours later. That makes sense. I'm gonna schedule the
none of
time
us
that I could have
corrected
found
her.
by myself. Wait a second. Wait a second. No, I'm
Uh-huh.
noticing it. Hey, Marsh, when do we start? In 15 hours. Oh, I see. Thanks. Doesn't use the time I say. Goes finds the time on the schedule. Yeah, I see. I get it.
Yeah, I feel
Great.
like this is all your fault. But yeah, welcome to that part.
Yeah, where everything goes wrong.
Yeah, everything is suffering.
Alright.
So,
I pull my full
um,
screens up.
what are
Yeah.
you drawing today, Marsh?
Wiki
Tell
mind
us
blowing.
about what you are making.
Wiki about the man in the
And
apron.
about you.
Oh right. If I do this all the time, no problem. Let's just slap this
Uh-huh.
on here.
Oh, you weren't even streaming up until now.
Not to you. But
All
yeah,
right, here we go.
I'm
Well,
getting warmed up with some anatomy because bloody have this hella dynamic pose I have to do
yeah.
on a stripper pole, and
Uh-huh.
it's got this extreme POV. It's gotta be bam. It's gotta be flashy. Gotta be
Yeah,
bold.
yeah, yeah. Neat, neat, neat. Do
And
you have your reference
study.
images?
I do
Wow.
have reference
Wow.
images that I can't put on stream, but
Is it because they are naked?
too risky for YouTube. But
Uh,
yeah, I've been doing study from reference and then kind of doodle a figure by myself to try and flex
get
the
some
muscle.
enjoyment out of it. Oh.
Yeah, that and you have to flex the muscle of using what you
Apart.
know. Yeah, you have to really spread the cheeks before you
Yeah. Uh-huh.
uh
Perfect analogy.
yeah, definitely.
My gosh. I mean, tell me about your enjoyment with art.
Okay, robot heck. Gosh. Yeah, when I can do things without feeling bogged down,
Yeah.
by my inabilities and faults and all that, that feels fantastic because,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, oh, free falling, wow,
Yeah.
adaptability, ooh, skill mastery, wow.
Yeah. Enjoyment in art really is this stupid thing that I think the most enjoyment you'll ever have out of art is when you're a kid and you don't know anything about art. I think you hit like the pinnacle there, and then ever since then you just you know what they call it when you get high for the first time?
Uh, I know that the initial one is supposed to be the best, and after that, they're just chasing the
Yeah,
illusion of that high.
exactly. Yeah, it's called chasing the dragon when you do that, right? Because the first time you get high, it's so great, and you will never hit that high again for the rest of your life. Like if you become an addict, that is. Not
Mm.
like anybody who ever tries drugs is now cursed to chase the dragon.
You are
You
not.
have to chase the dragon.
You will see
No,
the dragon in your sleep. It will come for you.
he you would have to get addicted, right? Like I guess artists do after the first time they make art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a great analogy.
Yeah, well, it's true, right? Look, you chase that high of like the fun you had the first time with drugs. And with art, it's similar because, like, I remember the first time when I did digital art. Do you still remember your first time?
No.
Oh, oh gosh.
Yeah,
That was
unfortunately, this analogy works way better in terms of creative endeavors.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, for
I'll
you.
remember my first time actually doing work together with someone else and it working flawlessly. It'll never
Yeah.
be recreated ever again.
What do you mean? We've worked flawlessly together numerous times. And there's never been an issue when the two of us work together.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right.
For me, it was less like working with other people because you know how much I hate that, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was like, what's it? I was 16 and
You remember your age.
I was just discovering my body. No, yeah, I
Uh-huh.
remember my age because that was the age when we all met. You remember?
Is I am a dinosaur? I do not remember.
So we were all how many years ago is that now? We're all like almost
4 or
6 years younger.
5,
Yeah, 4 or 5 years younger.
right?
And I remember like just constantly seeing like comics online, like Shen comics with his little avatar. I don't even know what he looks like now.
He looks remarkably like your first drawings of back.
Yeah, you can see where my inspiration is from, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I used to love those comic artists, and that's
Mm-hmm.
all I ever would look at is I would just read their comics, and then I guess from that, I kind of revisited a bunch of like comic books I just had lying around in my home, which included like all the classic shit, like Bone.
Mm.
And then I think I had one comic that was just about like lunch ladies who were crime fighters. That one was
Uh,
pretty good.
uh-huh.
You know,
Out of all the ones you recommended, you didn't recommend that one.
it
Crime
was really good.
fighting, for fighting
Crime
maid
fighting
ladies.
lunch. They had like
Lunch
a
lady?
secret back room
Yeah.
behind their like school cafeteria. Like
Mm-hmm.
all sorts of gadgets, and then like the school fridge would move, and then they would be like, "Oh my God, there's killer robots on the loose," and then they would run in there and get gadgets, and then like run out on like a tiny school scooter
Yeah.
and beat the hell out of robots, and then coming back to serve lunch. It was oh my God, it was the best. I wish I could remember the name. I still have those
That
comics, so I
does
might give them a reread.
that does sound pretty good actually. It definitely
But yeah,
sounds like something that came out before its time.
oh yeah. But the point is, I looked at all that stuff and I got really inspired, right? And I was looking at that and I was like, I wish I could do that. And then this thought popped into my head, and I'm like, why don't I?
Mm-hmm.
So I marched downstairs to my papa, and I asked him if I could have a digital tablet, right, to make art. And what I was expecting is for him to react the way he reacts now, which is like
Yeah.
art, art. You want to do art?
Sigh.
Yeah, yeah. Already like loading the shotgun, and he's only eyeing the news. Ah,
Well, it's cool
I
that
have
he
a.
didn't do that to begin with. Well, that's interesting.
I guess back then he just thought like, oh, it's gonna definitely just be like a hobby, you know.
Um,
Like there's no way this is gonna lead to anything. And I don't know, like 16 doing art, it's not like the weirdest thing. It's just like it's one of those things, it's like a hobby.
it will be a phase.
Yeah,
We'll get out of it.
okay. And he, to my surprise, instead of him acting like that, he literally just opened up his drawer, and instead of pulling out the gun, he pulled out a tablet. He just had one already. He's like, here's the one. I don't need it. He was gonna use it to like design some stuff, but then he realized it was for artists, so he's just gonna like keep it in his drawer forever. And then the same night, I just started making digital art. And I remember I made my first comic with my first character, right?
Mm-hmm.
and it was terrible, but it felt so great. I remember looking at the clock and it was like 9 or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I put down the pen, and then when I looked up again, it was like fucking 3 in the morning or some crap. Like I just like spent like hours and hours doing art without even realizing. I thought like, wow, that's so fun. And now I am chasing the dragon. The dragon.
Oh gosh. I still
Yeah.
have days where I stay up without realizing it. Or, hours pass, I don't eat, I don't get up to use the restroom, I haven't drank
Oh yeah.
anything.
No, that's just normal. It happens anyway.
But yeah. See, my introduction to art was so gradual and natural that I didn't have any dragon in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Yours was very like what almost tangible. Like I want to say tangible, but it doesn't quite make sense. But purely
You know the word.
tangible. Like it had
Tangible, but
some
not
meat to it.
tangible.
You could pick it up off the street and whack someone on the head of it,
Yep.
and
That
it's
tangible enough to not call it tangible, but tangible enough to pick it up off the street and rob someone.
magic stone. Give me money.
Man, we should dodge. Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Um. Yeah,
Ah.
I get what you mean because it's such a like it's hard to describe. It's like grasping a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and that feeling being so relatable and so solid.
Yeah.
Um, what's it? I guess because the first time I made art, like everything was so new. Like there was no. I guess I didn't know what I didn't know is the best way to put it, you know.
Fair.
And like I didn't know form, I didn't know perspective, I didn't know line art. I still don't.
Right.
But when I didn't know it back then, it didn't hurt me because I just thought whatever. I'm making art. It looks kind of weird, but I made it.
Yeah.
Bada bing, bada boom. But now, knowing you and knowing all the other artists I know, like it becomes way more apparent when there's a gap in my knowledge because I can see things I wanted to do. And like especially like when you doodle something that I was doodling. I'm like, it's like it should look more like what yours look like because that's what I was aiming for, but it doesn't, and that eats me up inside. I'm like, my whole body starts to convulse,
Yeah, I
shaking in my
used
boots.
I used to have someone who would also do that. Like it was before the digital age, and we were with
Oh,
our pencils and
dude.
our paper, our
My God, when was
papyrus,
that? 600
3,000
years
years ago.
ago. You worry, freaking granny.
But yeah, and then it wouldn't even be drawing over my stuff. It would be like drawing next to me, and then in 30 seconds, I'd see something and be like, uh huh, yep.
Uh-huh.
Can I leap out the window now? Is that good?
Where is the gun? I have to load it.
So yeah, I completely understand the feeling, but honestly, that's when I learned the most. Seeing the comparison, and those really old how to draw manga books that are basically almost like an art book and not really a teaching book. Like there's nothing of substance in them. They're
Oh
just
yeah.
almost, but no one knows any better, so they keep fucking buying them.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that actually taught me something was they had submissions where people could send in their character sketches, and then they would redraw it and say, compare the two, see what worked, see what didn't, how
Yeah.
they position. And I was like, oh, I learned so much. And so 20 plus
Uh-huh.
USD book for one or
Oh,
two
uh,
pages of content. And, now in hindsight,
yeah.
I swear to God. So if you see that I'm not drawing, it's because I poured coffee for some
Uh-huh.
reason on my tablet. I
Oh,
I
great.
thought it was thirsty and I decided to pour coffee on it.
You mean your new tablet that you got last week?
No, no, no. This I'm telling the origin story.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
and then now I was like I can't. waste time. I have to get a replacement. I need to keep drawing. And
I already spoiled the end of the story.
no, you didn't actually,
Oh,
surprisingly
gosh,
enough,
alright.
because the problems never end.
Yeah.
So, amazingly, technology has gone to such a point where you can buy tablets for 50 USD. Wow. So cheap. I wonder what.
I wonder what
Um,
could go wrong.
yeah, and I had great experiences with it so far. I got a Huion for fucking 50 USD, and it connected well, and it feels like
It
it's.
worked.
Yeah,
It's
I'm surprised. It
it's
just feels so. I
turned
never
on.
thought buttons work. Wow,
The pen
sensitivity.
was a just piece of word.
I never thought I would have a Wacom, but
Yeah.
gosh, the technology is very interesting. I was wondering why I was double clicking in places where I shouldn't, or why think that it was touching the screen before I was touching the screen with the pen. And I
Mm.
found out something amazing. I can touch my stylus on my ring finger and then touch my pinky to my ring finger and then touch my pinky with the tablet and I can
Uh,
draw. I'm doing it right now. Like the stylus isn't even touching. I am
well,
drawing with my pinky. This is
there's a lot of
why.
pushing involved in
This
this.
is why. Weird things are happening. It's because for some reason the new way they do the pens is it's just like smartphones. You can draw on your smartphone with a metal chopstick and it'll be
Yeah.
fine. And
Is it a feature? Is it supposed to be like that?
I don't.
Okay. I see. All right. We're good.
Like it's supposed to be. You go online in the forums. It's all, oh yes, this weird problem. You just update the drivers. I'm like, I don't think this is a driver problem. I can draw with
Uh-huh.
my pinky. I can draw with my pinky.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So yeah, I don't think it's a driver problem.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like one surprisingly. Yeah, but yeah, what were we saying about studying?
Oh, life is pain.
Oh yeah, it's different. Chasing the dragon or something. Let's just go from there.
Right.
Um, yeah, limitations suck. It's like fun has a skill cap, is what you said. Remember?
Yes, I feel it so keenly because not only do I always have to chase skill to have fun in art, but I
Yeah.
suck at games so much. I started late for one, and then two, I'm just not picking up all, the basic gamer knowledge that
And
just
three,
accrues
you're
over
a
time.
grandma.
Yeah. And so I basically suck at every game I could possibly play ever.
Yeah.
And so even having fun in a nice little chill video game that's supposed to be a break from the grind is just another grind. And actually that's probably
Yeah.
what appealed me to it in the first place because as sad as it
Uh-huh.
is, I improve
Have you brought
faster.
this upon yourself?
Uh, yeah, somehow you improve faster in games than you do art. and
Yeah, I think
and
they're just they're more intuitive,
uh
right?
the things you have to learn is like timing and button pressing. So
Yeah. There's no like the thing I feel like a lot of people underestimate, including me, right? I
mm,
think anybody who starts art is the amount of studying that is involved in art, you know?
mm,
Like in video games, if you want to take it as an example, like there's barely any studying, or even if you want to call it studying, it is immensely fun, right? Because studying would just be like fighting the tutorial enemy,
mm.
fighting like the first monster and doing that, and then as you do that, you level up, you gain skills, and like there's almost no wrong way to do it. Like you can't input the wrong buttons because the wrong buttons don't exist. There's a set number of buttons that you press, and you're always going to have the same buttons throughout your entire journey. And in art, it's like there's like 50 bazillion buttons, and 90% of them are wrong for you. And there's like four that you own, like four that you actually like using. Which one are those four? Well, you gotta find out. You gotta go sifting through billions of buttons, and maybe you're lucky. Maybe you got drawn to art because you found those buttons that you like. But if you're unsure, well, have fun. Sifting through all the buttons. I that's kind of what it's like for me at least.
Mm. I think one comparison could be speedrunners or fighting games, competitive fighting games.
Yeah.
That could be one, but gosh, it's so I never played a platformer before. Can't even
Yeah.
do Mario. I got Little Big
Yeah.
Planet, and someone made me a level, and I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. They made something for me. You know how I
Yeah.
go crazy over anytime anyone makes anything for me ever,
Yeah.
and I'm determined to play it. 5 hours pass, and I finally did the quote unquote long jump of the
Yeah.
entire level. That was just, one tiny jump of the entire thing.
Yeah.
Ah, that's
Is it
like
the
art.
same with art?
Yes,
Yay!
that's like art.
Yay! Oh god.
But no, since I adored Demon's Souls, it was cathartic when
Yeah.
I'd spent less time practicing in Demon's Souls and suddenly beat an enemy.
Yeah.
And then in art, I was still crying. So, because you never get instant gratification for your work. Or
Yeah.
maybe people say you do when you, finish something. You're supposed to get some endorphins, but if you have issues, you don't.
Uh-huh.
Triangle under the chin. Sorry, continue.
Is it similar for art though? Do you get that same sense of satisfaction when you beat, like, I guess, the enemy that you're fighting in terms of art?
I think I used to. Like, I remember it
Great
keenly.
start.
I remember it more keenly with the murals because that was a whole ordeal. I'd have to come in how many days early and work multiple days to paint this big ass mural. And sometimes I would get less time than anticipated because of, hijinks and
Yeah. People throwing rocks at your face.
getting pelted in my
Racial
way there.
slurs. The police.
Not enough coffee.
Yeah, all those things.
Yeah.
Same category.
The racial slurs happened when I tried to get more coffee. They wouldn't let the gremlin in.
Uh-huh.
Distracted. Oh yeah, and so it's a lot more impactful when you're under the clock, people are dependent on you, and then you pull through and you have this huge thing in front of you that you did.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, endorphins. People are thanking me.
Yeah.
People are getting their photos taken in front of my art. And I'm like, cool. And then I pass out for 3 days.
That's kind of funny, because isn't that what commissions are in a way? 'Cause you said people like show you what they do with your commissions,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, isn't that the same of, like, doesn't that give you the same boost? And this is a trick question because I know it doesn't. So I just want to know why. Like, what's the difference between, like,
Time.
like, um, uh-huh.
Yeah, so I mentioned the murals because that was the last time I really, really got it immediately. And then
Yeah.
after that, I tasted failure on multiple occasions.
Every day, every time I opened my eyes, I was like, there's failure, my old friend.
Yes, you think you can pull through if you have things on the line and you can just, power of magic and friendship and stuff. And you think that you can do the extra mile if you care a lot about something. And, over time, with enough failure, you realize that you can basically survive failure. And it kind of, does something to your mentality. It did something to mine. And I stopped
Yeah,
getting a hit from finishing stuff because all I could see was the failures and that I couldn't depend on my own skill anymore. I
yeah.
nothing
All
really.
that positive stuff that lifts
Yeah.
people up.
There was sure I did it this one time and I maybe did a few things right and it was okay, but that doesn't mean it didn't mean anything because I had already seen what happens when I just flat out fail.
Yeah,
And it just transferred over to everything. Even when I stopped doing murals, the commissions are just okay, cool, it's done. I'm glad I did it. I have to do
yeah,
another one immediately. And it's not even just because of workload. It's also good. Like if you reward finishing art with something that's not art, you're just teaching yourself to hate art even more. So I make it
yeah.
a point to work on another piece directly after finishing because otherwise I'm just gonna train my monkey brain again.
I guess that's where I am at in a
Mm-hmm.
way.
Ooh, ooh, ah, ah.
Yeah, ooh,
Man, I
just
wish my
because
tablet would work.
I'm
Sorry, keep going.
uh-huh.
Ugh.
Yeah. All I'm imagining is you like standing over your tablet trying to pry it open with both hands. Like one of those squatting positions. Um, I guess that's where I'm at, right, with art, because I've been treating it too much like just work, you know. That's why I'm doing this right now because this is fun, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like something I wanted to do, so I'm doing it. But I mean, you know me, I have issues in my brain.
Yeah.
You know,
Cool.
so sometimes it's
Issues.
difficult to do stuff, you know, and I
Mm-hmm.
lose motivation. Like I'd say more than others, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, I feel really bad for not doing art, you know.
Feel
So
bad.
that's where like the mentality kicks in that if I'm going to do art, I should at least finish what I have to, which is obviously gonna be my homework, you know, because that's like the only requirement almost in a way for me to like crawl out of this like depressive slump is like if I'm gonna do anything, you know, I should do this first.
Mm-hmm.
Uh and that worked fine, you know, for a couple of weeks, but then it got to the point where I'm just sitting there like now in my brain I've associated doing art with like just doing my exercises, you know? And
Right.
it's no longer like this thing that I just do for leisure. Or I guess I'm not like stimulating myself creatively.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's why I'm trying to change that now. Look at this little bastard. Can you see him?
Yeah, he's cute.
There he is.
He's so
Wah.
cute.
I stole him from Castle Swimmers. Here you go. That's the one from Castle Swimmers.
Yeah, but you're putting your
And
own spin on it.
yeah. Oh,
Tinier legs and added stuff. And over time, we're not good enough to completely copy something, right? It's
yeah.
gonna become our own one way or another. My goodness,
One
the
way or
middle part
another.
of this person is so tiny. I can't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, not to say that I don't enjoy doing my exercises because there's something satisfying about just carving out your technical skills. You
Hmm.
know,
There's also
because it
something very
goes.
safe about it.
Yeah, yeah. I guess that's also part of it because it makes me like it's almost too safe. You know,
Hmm.
it makes it so that I can just sit there and be like, okay, I'm doing the right thing, quote unquote.
Hmm.
You know,
Turn
I'm doing the thing
off.
I'm supposed to. Yeah, turn off the brain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah. So I'm glad you're doing. So you had the ability and the people to tell you that that was what's happening. Because I'm fucking 30,000 million years old, and I
Yeah.
feel like I've been studying anatomy wrong. I have some
My
knowledge,
entire life.
right? Yeah, no, but for the amount of
Yeah.
time I put in, the amount of suffering, the amount of me keeping from doing art I wanted to do just to study anatomy, for all that pain and suffering, I feel like I haven't gotten enough out of it in proportion to the stuff I put in. And so
Yeah.
I did something wrong. I studied wrong.
Yeah. I get
I
you.
probably turned off my brain, and so I didn't retain anything. I just, went through the motions. It's very easy to just, you know, kind of do a reference and just not.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a huge part of art that I never hear talked about as well is the amount of course correcting you have to do. You know,
Nah.
it's like it's not just studying art. It's a correction in like your own personality almost. Because if you want to be great at art, you got to be really humble. You got to be able to recognize I can't do this right. And when people correct you, or when people give you advice telling you that, hey, maybe you shouldn't study so much anatomy, like with you, the advice you never got, or like people telling me that I should, like you telling me, I don't know why I said people. I'll never speak to you. I have no friends.
I am people.
Yeah.
Me and my dolls and my spoon
Marsh is
are
people.
people.
She is multiple because of her schizophrenia. Oh god. Well, yeah, when you tell me stuff like I should do more art just for fun, I have to take that to heart. I have to course correct, I have to be
Mhm,
able to say what I'm doing right now is not going to work in the long term. And even if I get technical skills, I'm going to lose out on like what's far more important, which is like the fact that I want to be able to enjoy art, and do my own projects and my own things.
mhm,
Because if I don't and I just focus in on doing the bare minimum, then I'll end up pretty miserable,
mhm.
And yeah, it's so many concessions. I remember when I started art, um, I definitely had more of a snobbish attitude of like, oh, I know what I'm doing. Oh, God. Oh,
Ah,
I watched Proco. You have nothing to teach me.
that's funny considering you hated watching Froco.
Oh, I hated watching Proco so much. The guy, like, he's a great artist, but I think that's the issue. Like his free tutorials, he's just like, just draw the gesture, and then he'll do it perfectly, and I'm sitting there crying to myself, like, I don't know how. He'll be like, not a lot of students will notice this curve. I'm like, what curve, Proco? Hated that guy. But yeah, you see my point, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Want to weigh in with your side?
What?
Yeah. What do you mean what? I want
Uh,
to weigh in with your side of the story, like what the
oh,
experiences you. Yeah, the thing we're doing where we talk, where one person says something and the other person says another thing, and it turns into something you call a conversation.
what confused me was that just as you were saying that, I was dragging my sketch to the side because I was done with it. And so
Uh-huh. The brain
I
only
was
has
like,
space for one thing.
huh? It does.
Brrr. Dragging the sketch. Dragging the sketch completed. It's like unmuting me. The moment you're done dragging it, it's just like blah, blah, blah. My voice starts up again in the background. Uh,
Gosh. Oh yeah,
uh,
I lost the thing where I got the endorphins
you mean your
through
hope?
yeah through unintentional conditioning, and I had to get it back. So I had a bunch of time to myself, obviously,
Yeah.
and I started
When
really small.
when when did you have all that time to yourself? Is it because you were poor and you had nothing to do? Oh god, my tablet's doing, sorry to interrupt, right? My tablet's doing this very annoying thing where
Hmm.
it registers my touch like as me putting down two fingers and activating control, which lets me drag around like a layer just like that, but I don't want to do that. And it keeps I need one of those like gloves for digital art tablets or whatever so that it blocks like your skin
Yeah, I'm
from
gonna
touching
need
the
that
tablet.
now because of the
Yeah.
my tab.
Yeah. Yeah. I might grab one when I get a new tablet. I mean, it's about time. This thing is like as old as our friendship. Uh,
That's
and
funny.
I've known you since you were 16,
Uh huh.
and I was 6.
Yeah.
Why are your drawings so bad? All right. Sorry, enough interruptions from me.
Oh no, if any opportunity to complain about our tablets, I'm taking it today because I can't even switch colors correctly. I draw with a combination of opacity brush and then switching to
Yeah.
the same brush being an eraser. That's just my life, and it just won't do it correctly because it thinks that I'm clicking with my pen as it's hovering, and I'm using the quick key. And
Uh-huh.
I'm losing my mind.
Maybe this is a good time for us to have another competition.
Yes, please.
It's an
That'd be
easy
great.
way for me to win. We'll tell that story next because I like that story of how I beat you with my zero experience. I think we've told this story before on other streams, but this will be recorded and kept on YouTube, so it's forever.
It will be official.
Yep. But yeah.
Uh, God. Yeah, I had to. I had a lot of time to myself, and I had to condition this thing back onto me. I was watching this video by Adam Duff, who was
Yeah.
talking about how he quit smoking. Like, you know,
Which
when
one's
you
Adam Duff again?
Lucid Pixel, he's just this really great painter, fantasy painter.
Oh, right,
But
right,
the
right.
long story short is, you know, he was a smoker and he knew it was bad for him. And smoker's guilt's like, oh yeah, you did this to yourself. I'm gonna, why bother quitting, you loser? And then, you know, you just keep doing it because you just guilted yourself
That's
into.
what I experience every day. Wow, I don't even smoke.
Well, yeah, so he was comparing that to painter's guilt. And then, you know, he had
Yeah.
a bunch of health problems. He's like, oh, I did this to myself because I smoked. What a dummy dum dum.
Yeah.
You know, he
I
just
think it's just
quit
called depression.
smoking. And he just quit because, you know, now he was scared for his life. He had to. There was this emotional connection to, I'm just gonna quit. And then he found out that it had nothing to do with smoking at all. But, you know,
Yay. He was just broken.
but you know, he's never smoked again because regardless of whether or not it was caused by smoking, he had the emotional connection and he would never he that was able to be used as a crutch to get himself to stop smoking forever. And
Yeah.
so you know, that kind of spoke to me cuz
I relate.
yeah, cuz you know, me, I just do the right things. It's just a force of habit. I have to just do the right things whether or not I
Yeah.
feel it or not. It's just
Is it
that's it.
similar to like needing to complete 100% of a game?
Yeah, maybe neurotically, probably exactly like that.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
similar. And so that was probably also, you know, me turning off my brain when studying all this time. I was just going through the motions because I had to do it, and I wasn't making any room for my mentality. I wasn't making room for how much I wanted to draw something else. I wasn't, you know, catering to what my shit was asking for.
What your dumb brain was
Hmm.
saying.
So once I
Yeah.
realized that, I knew I had to recondition myself like Lab Monkey.
Uh-huh.
The carrot and stick formula, and also tiny drawings. Like I would only do, let's say, maybe something this big, and I would just draw something inside of it. And you know, everything looks good when it's this tiny because it's, you
Oh yeah.
know, tiny as hell.
Because there's no details. Or if there
Yeah.
are details, they're like, oh, they look right. There's nothing wrong with perspective or form or what.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
got
so
you.
because everything looked great, you know, I got the tiniest of endorphins after doing maybe 3 pages of these. I was like, I'm starting to
Yeah.
see the things I wanted. And you know, I kept doing that. I kept just doing smaller things, and then I'd make them a little bigger over time. Just training the endorphins. And then of course the whole thing where you don't reward art with something else, you reward it with more art.
Yeah, yeah.
And now I'm starting to feel it again a little bit tiny.
Just a smidge. A smidge. A tiny amount.
Yeah,
Oh.
because I will
I
do
guess
this thing
yeah.
where I stare at pieces I finished after I do them, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't look like I did them. It was a little funny, and then I can
Aw,
appreciate them, and I'm like, wow, they look cool. It doesn't feel like I did
that's so
it.
sweet. I wonder if I have any feeling like that. I don't think I ever did. I think every
Mm.
time I look at my art, I only have bad things to say afterwards. And I'm like, look at this garbage crap. Who does this artist think he is?
Maybe after a long enough time, because there's times where I'm like, wow, this is really good. Look at the technical knowledge here and the push here, and then I'm like, I drew that. Oh, Like I feel like
Yeah.
you could experience that. Like I was really impressed with your fireplace animation and the
My fireplace animation?
traveler's spoopy hand floating island thing.
I don't remember making a fireplace animation.
Yeah, it's because you're dumb. Because you're a
Okay,
fucking
I guess.
idiot.
Wah, 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 wah.
It was like a few frame animation, but it was still an
Oh,
animation. It was a cat and traveler around a fireplace,
all
and I
right. That
had
was
to,
like years ago.
yeah, and I had to help you with the
Um,
trees because
yeah, yeah, I remember
you
now.
were doing things to trees.
Oh God. You know what I feel if I think about that art right now?
What do you feel?
I feel more so like, why can't I be that good? Like I guess I go the opposite direction. I don't go, oh, that's nice. I did that. I go, oh, that's nice. Why can't I do that, you know?
Again?
Even if I did.
How could they
Yeah.
repeat it? I guess I do
Yeah.
feel that sometimes, but not as much because the more you know, the
Because
more
so
you
much
can
is
see
broken.
like the things you can do better.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it I mean what I'm describing is just very common issues, I guess. That's why I like to bring it up because I feel like if young artists or like new artists see this, they'll be able to relate. But it's that super thing that you have, right? We went over this last episode,
Mm,
with the stupid curve of like how confident you are versus how much experience you have. You know, this is
mm-hmm.
confident, and this is like wisdom. I don't know. Here's a pair of glasses. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
and I think usually the curve is more like this, right? Like
Mm,
a snap back up, you know.
mm,
But you know me, I have brain issues. So for
mm-hmm,
me, it's more like the valley of despair, you
mm-hmm,
know. So I think for the majority of like last year, I was, sliding down, and now I'm here, which would be the point here in the graph where you start to see like, okay, I'm wrong a lot about like a lot of stuff. Like I have no idea how much experience is in this direction, but I'm excited to climb. you know, I have
mm-hmm.
fun, and I'm more like here. And I'm like right before I'm about to climb. I'm like,
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah.
it's just exacerbated. Actually, this isn't even the right graph. Let me correct this. Um, look, for me, it's more like wow.
I guess it is an oscillation.
Yeah. This just I guess I'm just too hard self in every aspect, you know? It's
Yeah.
just so difficult for me to let go. It's not just art, it's everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lesson in life or whatever. By the way, look at him. Like the fire. I'm very
Yeah,
proud
he's
of the
cute.
fire.
He's very
He's
cute.
really
Yeah, you're so good at the effects now. Remember when they were just like vague spiky things that had no
yeah.
gesture to them whatsoever?
I can't take full credit for this though. My art teacher in the last lesson he was
Mm-hmm.
like, "This is how you do observational drawing. You observe
Yeah,
and then
well,
you draw."
you know, it's okay. People have been trying to tell you that for ages. You don't have
When
to
you say
give them
people, you mean you.
so much credit. Yes, incidentally, I am still people, and do me. But
Yeah, there's
yeah,
so much stuff my art teacher taught me that you tried to teach me,
yeah,
but
I
it's
love
so
it.
strange. It's like every time when you open your mouth to explain something to me,
Uh huh.
it's like my entire brain shuts down and I understand nothing.
Uh
It's
huh.
uncanny. It's almost like there's something supernatural at work.
Or just
Uh,
cursed. It's fine. I'm kind of. I was salty. I was, especially when you came to me like, look what I learned, and I'm like, I'm going to kill you. I got
I
my
am
murder.
going to murder you.
But
There is a gun in my hand.
but I understand. You need. There has to be a certain something with your teacher. There has to be that little special something, and not everyone can be one's teacher. Like, sure, we can do tips and funny things like that, but it doesn't replace what your teacher is.
Yeah, I guess I just need a very specific kind of like teaching method,
Hmm.
which I guess I'm very glad that I found it on the first go, pretty much. with how picky I usually am.
I mean, if
You
you
know?
compare it to your experience with teachers in general, I'd say it
Yeah.
took you a long time to find, a healthy teacher-student relationship.
Yeah.
So I don't
It's
know about
almost.
that one.
I mean, if you want to see it, okay, wait. I'm going on too many tangents. Let's finish our thought here. What was I saying? Right, observational drawing. Okay, point is, you look at the stuff and you draw it. Right. I don't know why it never clicked in my brain before, but it makes sense. So I stole the flames of this guy. I
Hmm.
love this guy. Look at how cute this is. He's like, wah.
Yeah, I'm so
Yeah.
happy you can do that now. That was the one thing I wanted to teach you because, once you know that, you can kind of hobble
You
your
can do
way
it.
through life. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the one thing I wanted. And you just would not touch references. You hated references. You remember when
Oh
I
yeah.
made you collect references like, what kind of eyes do you want? What kind of style do you want? You're
Yeah, 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 yeah.
like, yeah.
I remember that.
I,
That's pretty funny.
uh-huh. And then now you've got more, you know,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
didn't
Now I
take
just
pulling
do it
teeth.
by myself.
Yeah, wow. It's relieving, honestly.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, it's part of that thing where I guess I had to bite down on my own like pretend smugness, you know?
Mm.
Because I'm an arrogant kid. Not
Mm.
there's no way to sugarcoat it, right? And for the most part, if I don't respect like somebody, I
Mm-hmm.
won't listen to
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah.
And, not
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
respect you,
Uh-huh, yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, yeah,
I just think you're stupid. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I'm just so not open to like anybody's opinion, I guess. You know? Like now, I guess it's more so now if I don't respect the person, I won't listen to their opinion. And back in the day it was more like if you have an opinion, I won't listen to
yeah.
it. You know?
Considering the
Um
environment you had to deal with, I can see why that happened. Like you're just
yeah,
around people who talk shit and don't really do anything, and just overall the population of dribbling
yeah. A lot
individuals.
of a lot of that stuff does come from childhood because that's when you learn, right? Like you're super impressionable when you're a child, and like even the smallest stuff can like set you down like another 10 years of living your life differently when you're a kid, you know? Like if you're
Mhm.
giving me like an art class to go to every week when I was a child, regardless of if I like liked art or not, I would be an amazing artist now, or at least be hella good,
Mhm.
because that's just what it's like. Kids are dumb. I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna do art because that's what I've always done, you know,
Right.
at that point. But yeah, I just didn't listen to you. I didn't listen to anybody. you know, it was it was it was very nice, and if you want to learn art, you just gotta kind of bite your own ego and say that's wrong. Can't go through life just not learning.
No
But
yearning
turns out
ever.
learning is kind of important. you
No
know?
yearning. Never learned. No.
Never learn. Never gonna do. I don't know if my explanation makes any sense at all, to be honest. I mean, you
No,
tell
it
me,
does.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like tons of people end up kind of going through that phase.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of natural reaction. Especially with
Yeah.
all these misconceptions about art. Everyone thinks it's this, you have to have a creative soul. You have to, you're that person who thinks differently, and that's why people are able to do art. And they don't realize, like, it's like swinging a bat and hitting, a home run. There's a technical skill that you practice swinging so your body
Yeah.
could do it, and there's a technical aspect to it and training.
Yeah. There's so many people who just don't understand that, which is like a huge shame. Because it's like it's so many aspects of art. Like I think when people like the average person who has no involvement in any art community, like
Mhm.
Mr. Joe Smith, who's 56 years old, you know, and then works at the steel mill or whatever the frick,
Yeah, yeah.
and if he thinks of art, he'll be thinking of two things. He'll be thinking of A, landscapes, right?
Yeah.
And B, throwing poop at a wall and selling it for $50 million. There's no in between, you know? And if you introduced this Joe Smith to digital art, he'd be like, "Oh my god, that's amazing! I can press a button and generate a comic.
You're
I
like,
can push button
how did you make the
and make
computer do
comic."
that?
Yeah, exactly. It's so dumb. It's like imagine this. I'm like, "Boop," and then like, boom, out pops this guy. You know,
Uh,
and I'm just done. You know, I mean, I wish art would work that way, but no, we're idiots. Goddamn. But yeah,
yeah, my uncle who does gallery work, he's very traditional sort of artist. He was like, digital art. That can't be art. You don't do painty stuff. And I'm now, now I'm basically
yeah,
painting
yeah.
digitally. It is actually painting.
It's strange, right? Digital art is easier, but it's also more difficult. You know, it's how you weigh these things because you almost add for a layer of learning that you take away, you add a different one. You know,
Mm-hmm. Because it's
instead of being
always, yeah,
yeah. No, go ahead.
it's always been a combination of tools doing different things.
Yeah,
And I shit on a lot of definitions of stuff, but if something has a method to it, like everything has its own set of behavior. Whether or not you're doing stencils, French curves, the blur tool,
yeah,
liquefy, lightbox.
yeah.
It's just a tool. We're all
Exactly. Yeah, we're all tools. Yippee! Welcome to Fart, where we
tools.
all insult everyone we know. Uh, yeah, that's all it is, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just you trade out pen and pencil for 50 other tools, and it's like it's the exact same. You just have different stuff to learn. You
Mm-hmm.
have the luxury of never being able to make a mistake because you could just control Z everything in your life, you know? But you have to add it like difficulty of like, okay, now I have to remember all the layers. Now I have to do this, and then there's this setting, and this makes it look good, and then there's this, and these are all the tools that you have available to you now. So you'd be a fool not to use them. You know, it's like if you can use them, you use them.
Yeah, remember when you
Why
had
not?
to make your own paint?
Oh yeah,
Oh, those
Jesus.
dang things buying it from the store.
It's not
Pray.
real art unless you put your passion into every ingredient of it. Yeah.
Mm,
My art teacher is a painter. Like I think primarily, right? Uh which is funny because he's still so much better at everything else as well.
a lot of the skills transfer.
Yeah,
Like
I
I
know.
was telling Budgie that she was, as she was editing, she went from editing to graphic design because she wanted to take over the thumbnails, and thumbnails are all about graphic design. And then
Yeah.
after that, she was getting into animation. And then she was like, why is this animation working correctly? It's like, Budgie, because you need to learn animation principles. This is too slow
Yeah.
here. The impact needs to mean impact equals less frames. She's like, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's Budgie is a funny case in a way
she's
like that,
great.
right? Oh yeah. Budgie's our editor, if anybody wants to know.
She likes doing everything.
Huh?
She likes doing everything.
Yeah,
Too
she likes being our
much
editor and our general
of
manager
everything.
and and everything else, you know. What's it? She I guess she's kind of experiencing what a lot of other starting artists would, right? Which is
Mm.
everything is fun. Everything is fun, you know. It's like I want to do this and this is cool and that is cool and all of this is cool. I want to try that and this and yeah, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got burping as well. Ooh, what's that smell? I didn't even know what I ate what I ate to make that smell.
Was it the cookies?
Hey, that cookies. Oh my god, hold on. Fill the commentary gap. I'm gonna go get a cookie.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, hold
You're
on.
leaving me for
Tell me fine.
cookies,
Just go.
you
I'm
little
putting down the pen. I can't hear you.
fucking whore. Cookie whore. Get back here. Ah. Hmm. Oh.
Yeah. So I made like 17 cookies. I have three left.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You know, when I'm thinking about control delete,
It's the wrong box.
you.
These are the chocolate cookies. I want
Uh
the
huh.
only raisin ones. Like, oh, I'll be right
Yeah.
back. I'm not gonna.
Mhm. Uh huh. All right.
Yeah, I'm back.
You kept unhappy for you.
This might be the only time when somebody has put away a chocolate chip cookie to get the raisin one. Oh,
I really like what's it? Fruit, yeah, it's so raisins and nuts and milk chocolate. I like that combination for some reason. I guess it's because of variation and textures. Because you got the chewy and you got the kind of vaguely crunchy-ish, and then the
mm,
schmocklet.
I like that it's sweet.
It has sugar. We
Sugar.
like sugar.
Um, I'm surprised I'm not obese.
Well, you're at the time where your metabolism starts going away, so we'll get back to this in about 5 to 10 years.
Oh, all right. What are you talking about? The cookie has reset my brain.
Yeah, okay. All right. So we went. Oh shit! Even I'm losing.
Oh,
Oh, we were getting into learning, and then we were talking. Oh, right, digital art. Oh, I wanted to say something about Control Alt Delete. Like, it's just a time saver because you still have to do the line. It's almost like if you did line practices,
mm,
and now you're just doing it while doing a piece. Because
mm-hmm.
I was at first thinking about how sometimes undoing your stuff isn't wise, and you get the swish in your line by not undoing certain stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought about, but wait, if you even if you undo 50 to 100 lines just to get that perfect swish, it's just like calligraphy training where you're training a stroke, and it's just taking time that would have been spent, if we were doing this traditionally, the set time aside. Well, now we just did it in the middle of our piece, and so it doesn't feel too different to me. But then again, I shit on anything everyone ever cares about, and that's
Uh-huh.
why my definitions are all wonky,
I mean,
wonkified.
it makes sense. Even though you delete the line, you can't actually undraw it. You can't
Mm.
change the fact that you did draw the line, and then when you go to draw it again, it's the same thing. So yeah, it is just like a lot of quick practice of doing one line. Also,
The-
how the frick am I gonna do this? I struggled with this yesterday, like doing the purple inside of the fire.
oh, I love that kind of effect. So,
Yeah, me too. And that's why it's burning me up inside that I suck.
oh,
Help.
this is a good segue. For me, I don't draw it as if it were, uh, I don't. You remember how I do cutaway stuff? This is
Cut
the
away.
perfect time to do it because when you draw the blobs, they're kind of like misshapen, right? And they kind
Yeah.
of don't look like they're naturally connecting. Well, if you're cutting through the shapes, they will naturally, complement each other because you just drew a line between them, and that line itself represents the space in between it. And that's actually one thing that I will say I can't do traditionally. The cutaway method, which is just my favorite way of doing anything ever,
Yeah.
is I can't do traditionally unless I go into paper.
Unless you get some scissors and 14 copies of your art.
Yeah, those really cool paper collages.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Teach me, senpai. What is this?
Well,
I
you
do
have
this. I
to.
do this. Do this,
Uh
and then I
huh.
do this.
Yeah.
This.
Well, you have the right
This.
idea with what you were doing. I would just do a little bit of shaping. Like, if I'm looking correctly, you have this kind of ball, and then you have this thing here. I would start shaping the outsides, And then it's like rule of three as a good base to cluster, and then varying the sizes. You don't want things that are too drastically different from each other because they start looking strange. This is when you're gonna use the kind of patterns in chaos by your observation-y thingamabobs, you know?
Yeah.
They
But
need to complement each
yeah,
other.
it's one thing to observe, like something that is very static, I guess, you know,
Mm.
like a hand. This is fire. It's all lively and supposed to be all over the place,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Oh, then
Oh
you
god.
can have some, if you don't want it to be static, you can kind of make your own texture. Instead of using the ball, you can think of water. Remember your water studies? You can use that texture for the
Yeah.
fire. Yeah, yeah, because it's
Like
almost
crazy.
like the magic fire is so close to water. You could just, it's just a change in color. Yeah, you can do this kind of
I
texture
say magic fire.
instead.
I just think of every cheap, every lazy fantasy story I've read.
Yeah, well, all the textures blend into each other. If you compare all the manga and you look at all the dust effects versus the power effects versus the punching, they're
Yeah.
basically similar motifs, just used in different contexts. So yeah, you can
Yeah.
do something like this if you want, or it's a little more expressive and spindly. If that makes sense.
Now it just looks like he's sick.
Let me look.
Head- He's got a disease. Ah.
Mm.
This is the part yesterday where I stopped having fun and started
Mm.
getting
Okay,
frustrated by my
okay. Let me
playthrough
look.
session. But
Mm.
yeah, by the way, I just want to make it clear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not crapping on Artlist. I love Artlist. I don't know if it came across so far that I hate art lessons or something, or I see it as work. No, it's great. I love it. I mean, look at how much I've improved so far. Even I can't deny it with my dumb brain, you know?
Man, when
It's
it
it's
goes home with you, it's got to mean something.
yeah, it's almost impossible to ignore, right? There's just no way you can say that I was better at art before this.
Okay, I think I'm seeing what's catching you up. Um, I would say pay attention to the flow of the fire you got, and then the
Yeah.
shape that you put inside it. Try and complement it. Like if you were putting it inside that teardrop where your cursor is, it would kind of like have that shape, and then any shape
Yeah.
around it will kind of complement that shape you just made. Kind of like
Like
the patches on a turtle shell, you know,
like kind of seeing it like as
tiny fire inside the fire.
three-dimensional.
Mm-hmm. And then I would probably edit the things in between them. Like there's some where it's too close and some where it's too far. Some adjusting in post.
Yeah. I'll just try and move on. So I also don't want to spend too much time on this.
That's fair.
You know, the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole like idea of trying to have fun.
Right. You'll just get
Oh,
better over
just
time
have to
anyway.
force it a little bit. Oh, God. Do you remember the rate at which I improved for art lessons?
Yeah, you didn't practice basically at all. Not only did you not do anything for fun, but you also didn't practice very often.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
that was unfortunate. So
And
you
I didn't use references.
yeah, and you didn't use
Yeah,
references. So you basically improved at the rate that you drew, which was not a lot. And you knew that. You just couldn't force yourself to. You had shit to figure out. So
this was this when I still
what?
was it still when I was in school, or was this afterwards already?
Gosh, we could do both because there for a while you were drawing a lot, like especially keeping up with comics. But
Yeah,
when you didn't move past that, the rate of improvement was slow.
yeah,
There was a time when months would pass and you maybe did, I don't know, one or two pieces.
yeah. I think it's kind of similar to what happened to you,
Hmm.
where you,
Except I would
yeah,
still sketch and practice.
yeah, and not for me. uh, Yeah, that's one thing about comics that I guess I realized wouldn't be helpful is that comics are so, at least the way I do them or did them, is they're
Mm-hmm.
so limited in what this is and
Uh-oh. You're cutting
like there's
out.
not no
Oh god. Oh no.
there's can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Hello?
Hello?
Porsche?
Hi.
Entire
Hi.
Porsche? Yeah, there's not a lot to explore in comics. There's no close-up hand. I only have 4 panels, or I limited myself to panels, and that's all I have. And so that's all I use, and so there's nothing else I can do and learn.
Yeah, I think you limit yourself a lot when you. It almost goes back to how you get decision paralysis because like when you make a decision, all of a sudden that's the only thing you do, like very strictly the only thing that you do.
Yeah,
When a lot of people end up working on a comic or something
yeah,
and then they're forced to draw so much that they improve because they're already looking for ways to improve the formula and improve their comic and change things up, whereas you definitely stuck to a formula and was like I could get by with just this and basically didn't have even the ambition to go further because you were
yeah,
pandering to people you didn't want to pander to and doing something you weren't
yeah,
passionate about in the least.
yeah. It, I don't even know why I worked like um
You needed to succeed quickly, and so you didn't really care about the thing. You just needed something to work as a means to an end, and so I can see how that happened.
yeah. I kind of maybe it ties back into what it's like.
Ties back to what it's like.
I said, girl,
I'm
I said
sorry.
maybe it ties back to what school life was like.
Yeah, yeah, probably. Man, your
Cause
school messed you up.
yeah. Well, that's where like some of the, I think I wanted to talk about this earlier, but I totally forgot. Where a lot of like the, what's it? My mom would call it fatalism, right? Or like fate kicks in.
Sure.
Like she's very traditionally Asian, so she has a lot of those beliefs. And one
Mm-hmm.
of them is just that it's everybody is fated to have like different stuff happen to them. And if that's good or bad, that's just depending on your fate, and you can't change that. You know, you can affect it, but you can't ever change it.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds weird, but it's like it's like if you're fated to have a car crash, say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you build up tons and tons of good karma because you're a good person, then that car crash might be super mild. You could like get into a fender bender or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
you always fated to like have some sort of car accident. But like if you're a huge douche and you're just douching it up, being a douche every day, then that car crash will paralyze you. That's a promise, you know?
Hmm.
And it's stuff like that. So for me, it's just possible, or at least my mom likes to try and comfort me like that. It's not very comforting, but she
Right.
tries.
Right.
Is that maybe I was just fated to have terrible, terrible teachers,
Hmm.
and a terrible like learning until I start picking myself, because the moment I only picked 2 teachers ever, and that was my Latin and my art teacher, and so far that been fantastic.
So
There's
far,
there's
it's been
not
fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, because like it feels so much better to actually learn. Like okay, I know I brought this example up when we were streaming on Twitch,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll bring it up again, right? I had a physics teacher, and every Wednesday we would have double lesson in physics for the IB, right? IB International Baccalaureate or whatever.
Sure.
That's like
Unfortunately, you're
one of those.
cutting out, but I assume it's related to some fancy competition or standard.
Yeah, it's like it's like the really difficult diploma, and how difficult it is largely dependent on how good your school is. So when your school is crap, it will be the most hellish ordeal of, you know,
Mm.
because if the school manages, I think the way the program works is they really a time limit for when you're supposed to like do certain things, to just say do, like they give you a due date, and then you have a span of 2 years or like a year and a half before you get there. So if you're in a good school, they're probably tackling it like, the year before,
Mm-hmm.
so that you don't have to worry about it later. But if you're in a bad school, they'll cram it all into like the last month before the deadline and tell you to do
Awful.
it all. And then when you can't do it, they blame you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of like that. And my physics IB teacher, oh God, how do I say this without cussing? uh,
You can cuss now. It's way past
oh,
5 minutes, but
yeah, I know, but the cussing I'm gonna cuss is gonna still be
oh,
bad.
got it.
Um,
Pee
no,
pee poo
he
poo.
was he was. If I was in a room with Hitler and Stalin
Yeah,
and
huh.
him,
Uh-huh.
and I had 3 bullets,
Uh-huh.
I would shoot him 3 times.
I
Oh
like the
God,
texture you're doing, by the way.
I'm glad.
It's different. It's your own thing. It's swirly.
Yeah.
Go to swirl.
Oh God, that man was the scum of the earth. Like he would have an hour and a half worth of lesson every Wednesday to teach us, and he would put on a PowerPoint, hand
Yeah.
out one worksheet, sit down and play chess for the rest of the hour and 20 minutes. And I would walk up to him, and because I love physics, all right, I
Uh-huh.
love physics. I would have become a physicist if I hadn't had such stupid physics teachers, you
Uh-huh.
know? Because I do really just like I adore this. I can't stress how much I love physics because
Uh-huh.
it will feed into the fact that I hate now hate doing anything physics related, right? And I would
Unfortunate.
walk up to the guy and,
Yeah.
hey, I don't understand this question on the worksheet. You know, can you help me with the worksheet? And he'd be like, sure, I'll be right there. And then 45 minutes would pass, and I would walk back up to him, and he would just still be playing chess. And it's unbelievable to me. How's this guy not fired? And you think, why don't we just bring this up to like the other teachers or the headmasters? They care. You think we didn't bring this up? We did. I did.
Uh-huh.
I don't even say we, because everybody else was a coward. They just sat there twiddling their little wieners in their hands.
Yeah, yeah.
Sticking their thumbs up their butts, sucking the toes of the other students.
Uh-huh.
Just
Yeah. Uh-huh.
nothing their butt. And I go and complain. And then you know what I got for complaining? Or
Uh-huh.
for asking if the teachers were even qualified? They like the headmaster and like the assistant headmaster who like if I was in the room with him, the physics teacher, Hitler and Stalin, you know,
Yeah.
I would
Uh-huh.
I don't even know. I would
Yeah, I'd be so confused. We have to shoot 3 times.
I would be so
I'd
confused.
shoot
I'd be
one
like, this
3 times and bludgeon the rest with the gun. The butt of the gun.
How would this situation even happen? I would shoot his arm off and then slap him to death with it. It's just I can't even put into words how much I hate that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I shouldn't. I love that guy. If anything happens to him, I'm not responsible. Jory, cut this out. Because if anything happens, if I ever get famous, that man is
Oh,
dying. I
hey,
can
Ozzy.
guarantee. Hey, Oz, what? Who? No, now there's somebody listening. Crap.
You have a
God,
witness.
look, I'm not gonna murder him.
Uh-huh.
I told you this a lot of times, right?
I'm so sure.
But if I was rich and famous, what I
But
would do is I would make sure he never gets a job ever again in his life, you know,
yeah.
and make sure that his family hates. I would slander him. I would slander his family. I would slander everybody he's ever known or loved or cared about. I would plant evidence to make him into a child molester. rapist, murderer, all of them.
Wait, buddy.
He would have a living hell. But I wouldn't kill him because that's barbaric. But yeah, that guy, he used to go around and he would threaten students, and he would just be the
What?
biggest douche ever, and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
would, and every time you tried to complain to the headmaster, he would be the one who you were actually complaining to. The headmaster was almost like a puppet figure to him, right? He
Right.
was almost in control of everything. He controlled who was hired as well, right? So every incompetent teacher on the roster of my school was hired by him, you know?
It's just a
So
big laundering scheme to give his friends comfy jobs.
maybe, right? But the thing is, even the teachers hated him. Like if
Yeah,
you
for
if you
sure.
go look up my school, you'll find anonymous comments on like ratemyschool.com where like teachers, but something like that, right?
Right.
And they talk about how everybody in the school is unhelpful, how like the vice headmaster is a complete wad, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he really is just the scum of the earth. Takes relish in like torturing kids. I don't say this about a lot of people, barely anyone, right? But that man just he's you know what he
And this is
I
why you had problems with teachers and authority for a very long time.
yeah. Oh, authority especially, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
told this story before
that's
about
why
the
you couldn't
doctor.
take art advice for
Yeah,
ages. Because who could you trust if you couldn't trust these people that were being supported by pillars of power?
yeah, I guess. I was the same with that. The most notable authority story I have is just the one doctor, right? When I was 6 years old or something. Uh, and I went to that one like in Germany before you go to like German school or whatever. They give you like a physical exam,
Uh huh.
just to make sure that you're like eligible for school. Just a basic like, oh, can you run right? Is your balance okay? Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And this doctor, like, I must have insulted her somehow or something. That's a story my parents tell me. Right? Is that I insulted her in some way, like I didn't do things the way she wanted or something. And then after our little session, she pulled my parents aside and she wanted them to sign this document to make me legally retarded. you know? Like I would have been retarded on all my documents going forward because I pissed this doctor off. And I know it's just because I pissed this doctor off because they took me to a different one and he was like, "Well, he's a bit odd, but he's not retarded." you know? But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so
See, I let my rage take over.
uh-huh. Well, what would happen to if the teacher had a favorite student? What do you what would the
What happened if the teacher had a favorite
No,
student?
like what if he called you what does it mean when he calls someone his best student? What would that even mean?
My art teacher or my
Um
old teacher?
the old teacher.
What would it mean? It would mean that they just listen to. I guess that's why I also didn't really like listening to authority, because being good just meant shutting up and doing exactly what the dumbass at the head of the class said.
Hmm.
The best students were just the nerds who would go home and study all day, come back, get good grades, and say nothing in class. Those were the good students, right? Those were the favorites because that's all they did. It's like you can't even call them students, right? They're just machines. They go in, do class, walk out, study, come back, rinse and repeat. There's no personality in that.
Just getting by through a bad
Yeah,
situation is
pretty
it's
much.
fine. I guess
But
that's the stereotype with schools, right? You're not gonna have a good teacher. You teach yourself things, and you pay the school money to give you a piece of paper, so people will hire you.
that's why I don't go to university.
That's why I went to an alternative university. Like they shat on traditional school methods, and they basically like we're making our own rubric, and it's not even it's a weird not college
That school
college.
is closed now.
It's been going since the age of the hippies, which is why it's alive. It was founded by hippies. It's
I thought
fantastic.
I thought
Yeah.
small bags of weed in the hallway.
We're going to learn the use of this herb.
This herb, medicinal. Welcome to Doc.
Mm, a lot of comicers come out of it. It's very cool.
I tried letting go of this as I could. Right. I don't really think about it at all anymore unless it comes up in conversation. Like,
What does?
oh, like the school stuff.
School stuff?
Yeah, it's
Uh,
just not worth it. Like, there's so much stuff that has. There's so much stuff to like art, you know. And if I just spend all day being seethingly angry about the way who has the people have mistreated the educational system and me,
mm.
you know, then I wouldn't get anything done.
Yeah, basically. That was how I dealt with most things. You know, a lot of people don't use Twitter because they can't help but get sucked into the drama, and I barely know how to use Twitter. Like, I don't even
Yeah.
know how to see all the posts I want to see. There's this little feed thing, and I'm like, I can't even find anything I want. Where's all the things I subscribed to? Why is it all bloated? I don't understand. And I just avoid a lot of stuff because one, I'm inept, and two, I'm not interested. And
Yeah.
I have better things to do.
I think Twitter should just be avoided as a rule of, you know,
Yeah,
like
but
it's yeah.
what's gonna like people still need things to self-advertise, especially in a world of self businesses and stuff. And what the
Of course.
problem is that it's bloated with news and drama, and you could just avoid that. Because if Twitter goes away, there's gonna be a different one. There's gonna be a different way to connect to people, get news and chat and stuff.
I guess. Yeah. It's just I dislike the mob,
The
you
mob.
know?
Of
Yeah, because
course.
that's the one thing you get on Twitter that you don't get. Like everything you say, marketing and stuff, you can still find your way around. I mean, we're doing it, right? We're not. Um, wait, you are.
I'm not gonna participate
Yeah.
in the drama though.
But
And I
I don't use
think
Twitter.
I can get around it in terms of like I don't think I'm gonna get popular enough where I don't have to
Mm.
worry about the drama.
I guess
And
I'm
then
just too afraid.
I'd
I
also
mean,
just remove myself from it.
yeah, because I mean, it's just it almost doesn't matter what you do wrong on Twitter, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like scratch that. It really doesn't matter what you do wrong because if you do anything wrong, people will destroy you, you know? And I don't care how mentally stable or how like secure one person is. If you get like again like 500 notifications a minute telling you to die, I think that would wear you down, you know? And it's just a platform that enables this kind of stuff that almost encourages it, you know, with the way it's built up. It's like, how can you respect something like that? You know, how can you look at that and say, yeah, that works. That's a good business model. That's something we should continue.
Well, cause
It's like,
I don't, cause if Twitter is a tool to connect to the people who are interested in your services and your
mm,
content, and if the only reason I'm not using it when I can avoid that section is this that it serves itself on immoral grounds. I would have to stop reading newspapers. I would have to stop using YouTube. I'd have to stop using Twitch. I'd have to stop
yeah,
even using DeviantArt for fuck's sake. Like,
God.
and drama sells, and if anything is marketed on popularity, you're gonna be battling something like that. Like we even battle
Yeah,
it in genres. It's so easy for writing, for art, for comics to be like, what hits the most people? We could just copy this formula and make something that is targeted towards the general audience. Or we could be, true to ourselves and have a very specific image that caters to a very niche amount of people that will not garner, it will never garner as many attentions as multiple genre groups.
yeah,
And so I can't limit myself with that because I would have to limit so much else with it as well.
yeah, yeah. I guess I understand. I just don't like Twitter.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a means for an ends. I didn't start using it until I started trying really seriously to do
Which
you
thing?
know, posting online, I guess. Because, for a while I didn't post my art online. I just kept to myself and studied a
Yeah.
lot. So yeah, I really didn't get into social media until I really, really needed it. It's a rat race wherever you go.
It is.
We mentioned it before, just the whole the people who call out the artists who are immoral, and we don't even know the people who got wronged by them, but we can name the scummy artist. Hmm.
So,
Yeah, it doesn't need you don't need Twitter for that either.
yeah,
That's
I
just
guess
on
it,
YouTube as well. There's so much art drama. My feed is full of it. I don't even watch it. It's and I still get updates on it.
I've never received a single YouTube recommendation on art.
Oh, it's
I
because
don't think.
maybe you don't watch enough art videos compared to the other things you
Yeah, I
watch.
definitely don't.
I get so many art video recommendations.
I just use YouTube for like brainless.
Mm.
It just goes in one ear, not the other.
Ish, buddy. It's a
Yeah,
really funny way to study. It's like filtering through everyone's processes, and you learn the same thing multiple times from different people, and every once in a
I
while you get a nugget of knowledge that's different, and it's like, oh.
I think that's why I'm watching a lot. Maybe I just don't watch the right ones, but when I do get one recommended to me and I think
Yeah.
it's interesting, click on it. But then it'll just turn out to be like really, really sick arts, you know? And it'll be uninteresting, or it'll be advice that I just think is wrong. You know, it'll be like, ah, God, I don't even know what's an example of like a common misconception art that people still pass as advice.
uh A lot of things are really situational though, because I don't think every video has to cater to a general audience. Like when
Yeah,
people are saying, "Do you're 110%," they're not talking to the people who overextend constantly and put too much effort into stuff
yeah,
to the point of
right.
self. They're talking to the lazy fucks who don't try at all,
Yeah,
because their 110% is gonna be their average.
yeah.
So
Oh God.
it's funny. I could get angry about them as well, but like I'm like, oh, they're not even talking to me. And it's really hard to keep that mentality. It's like, oh, they're not talking about me. It's okay. I don't have to take offense to
I don't
this.
have to be angry as you're smashing your table to bits.
Oh, this tablet's gonna make me incredibly angry. Goodness. It gets worse when I have multiple things up as well.
Yeah. What is it doing right now?
Oh, the same thing where sometimes it won't do my quick keys because, it's processing what the pen is doing. And then just the same idea that I can draw with my stupid hand. So if I mistouch my pen, it's clicking on multiple places on my screen
Yeah.
or, between two places it shouldn't be clicking from. And uh,
Let's speak of something positive. Have you seen those 2D games?
2D game?
2D, 3D, or 2.5D? What do they call
Oh,
them?
Alive 2D. I haven't gotten into it yet because, everything halted when my when my tablet drank a whole cup of coffee and
Uh,
and
look,
I've been fighting
thirsty.
with it since. Yeah, no.
Bring it up because I bought Octopath Traveler the Switch because it was on sale.
Oh.
You remember Octopath Traveler?
The really, really long kind of visual novel-y game.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No, Octopath Traveler is more like RPG. I'll,
Oh.
I'll, I'll pull up a screenshot because the game looks amazing. You know,
Oh.
that's how I'm gonna shoehorn me talking about my new game in because we gotta talk about the art.
Sure, sure, sure.
Like I think they're the first people ever to really utilize this art style, and I'm really happy about that. You know, because look at this, they use like a combination of 2D and 3D to make like a really really high definition 2D pixel art game. You know?
Oh, ray
So,
tracing pixel art.
yeah.
Okay.
So it
Yeah.
still looks like pixel art, but it's like in this gorgeous like 3D environment, and you have like images in the foreground like this, like that stuff that you would never have had before. Like look at this. The flags are literally like in the foreground, and you walk towards them, and they move that stuff, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just like it's a joy to look at. Like every moment is a joy to look at. And it's just I'm so glad that this art style is getting prominence almost. Like they're releasing
Mm.
a new game this year called Life Alive, which is like
Mm.
a very old RPG from Japan that was never released. But it has a similar concept to Octopath where you like have 8 characters to choose from, and it's done in the same style as well.
Mm.
So it's gonna look gorgeous. It's gonna be amazing. I can't wait to get it whenever it releases.
Mm-hmm.
It's just great. So I'm done with this. You want to look at it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was watching. Claude, he's cute.
He's very cute.
What's the name gonna be?
No, I just call him Tofu.
You okay? I wish
Tofu
you,
is
you put in something as to why it's named tofu in the design, but
no.
it's okay.
That's it. Tofu is a chinchilla that I have, and the person who named them got the name from just squishing tofu and thinking, "Wow, squishy," and then they named them Tofu, and that's the whole story. Oh yeah, man, chinchillas are the best.
little little gremlins like yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I
Mm-hmm.
relate to them the most out of everybody.
Mm-hmm. Tofu.
Tofu. There you go. But yeah, let's
How
talk
do you
about more
feel?
art stuff.
Yeah, how do you
How do I
feel
feel?
after
I
having finished it?
okay, therapy of art.
How does finishing this piece make you feel?
It feels awful to be honest,
Yeah, how come?
because this is where it doesn't take a long time for my I just finished my art piece classes to kick in, you
Right.
know. So I'm looking at this and I don't see a beautiful finished piece or whatever you see.
Mm-hmm.
I see like okay, like oh this part doesn't look like it has a lot of gesture. The flames still look kind the expression here, like the face looks kind of strange the way it like curves inwards like this,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Looking at like the background, I'm like, okay, I know I just did it to have thing, but it still looks kind of wonky. You know,
Mm-hmm.
my cookie jar that I did just for fun, really quick, doesn't look great either.
Mm-hmm.
Like the shading doesn't look convincing to me, at least. It doesn't look like real proper flames, you know, with the way it's lit.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I turn off the fire, then it's just like, well, this looks boring. The shading still looks kind of weird, you know. It's like the tale is kind of boring. It's not an imaginative character, you know. Just like I could go on forever,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
So what about the parts where, this is something that you were thinking about and it never would have gotten this far if you hadn't you hadn't, done this much. Even if there are things you can change later. This is like prototype one. And it still
Yeah,
looks cute. And it's
yeah,
just a little bit more alive than it was, a day before. Now you have something like
yeah.
it's in front of you that's representative of something you want to make and you want to bring to life. Does that give you any joy?
You're really struggling here, aren't you?
Well, it's because I know the answer is no.
Yeah. You're gonna hear me say no before I even say it. Uh,
Well, hopefully you can condition yourself too, because yeah, that's the only hope any of us have.
uh, it's just I guess one thing that like this is that I guess it's done. Like I had this idea in my head for a while, but now I did it. So I
Yeah.
guess now the idea will vanish and the new one will take its place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like cycling through my own creative waste bin, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Looking at the stuff, being like, okay, I did that. Next thing, you know?
Uh-huh.
So that is nice, you know. So like I like having new ideas. Having new ideas is like the best part of art almost. Making them is the terrible one. Because that's when all the limitations start coming in. But when it's in your head, you know, it's like, yeah, you know, it's as good as you want it to be. The story is as exciting. You can have music in the background, you know, all that stuff. Yeah, here we go. Oh, Moon came in and saw us streaming, and now she went back to her room to call a friend, I guess. The reason why I know is because she talks so loud I can hear her through the door and the hallway.
Well, I can't hear it, which is the best part.
But yeah, I just whatchamacallit. Uh I just have to condition my brain. I
Mm-hmm.
think I have to be less harsh on myself about art.
Train the monkey
And
brain, unfortunately.
yeah. I mean, when we do that, we can some art, give myself a little bit of a confidence boost, and at the same time, I can show off like the very first piece of digital art I ever made, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
I saved all that stuff. Let's see. Can you see my files? I just because if you can't,
Probably.
I'll pull this up. Can you
Well,
check
let's
the
see.
stream? Because I
Sure.
want to know if I have to
Yeah.
open this. Show
Look,
people.
look. What window did you capture in Discord?
Clip Studio.
Okay, then it shouldn't show your files.
Okay. I am
Oh,
proud
it
of this
does.
thing.
For
It does
very
show my.
briefly, like as soon as you click it, it flickers. But it didn't
Well, look
show
at this.
it, before you clicked on it. It's just very brief, just so you know. Yeah, yeah, what's big tofu face?
Yeah,
Hello.
the one thing I'm really proud of. I just took Tofu's face and started messing around with the film. I clicked on the fisheye one and cranked it up to like the highest possible setting.
Uh-huh. Oh,
This is good.
that's
This
the
does
other
look like.
thing. So
Uh,
after you get the phase of the stuff you make doesn't you tend to make very seriously and care about the most doesn't bring you joy, but then you dick around for 5 seconds and all of a sudden you're the happiest little thing
yeah,
alive.
right. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I guess you can't control joy, even though you have to try to force it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
how awful is that? You can't tell
yeah.
yourself to like something. You're not thinking about it and all of a sudden you're happy and you're like, damn.
Ah, but look at him, he's so cute. He's he's knocking on the door, and you're looking through the lens, and you're like, oh.
He's here to claim off of your shit.
He's here for murder. Oh god. Don't look at all my horrible, horrible art files. Okay, let me scroll to the bottom.
It's funny. I almost wonder sometimes if I, may possibly and eventually become a negative influence because you hear people talk
Yeah,
about how they enjoy art and once they get over the hurdle of learning technical skill they're all good and anatomy doesn't pain them anymore and you know
yeah,
I either just never got to that point and to the point where I could just be happy, not that I master everything, just the
yeah.
happiness part, content with what I do know. Or, there's something wrong with me, and eventually it will spread to you, and then
Yep. Yep, I'm waiting for that.
I don't know which one it is, honestly.
It's definitely the same one. Here you go. This is the first digital piece of digital art I ever made.
That's the one
It's
that gave you the dragon. This is the dragon.
oh no, that's not the
Oh, which was the
oh maybe
dragon?
it is.
Why did
The first comic I made was the one where I
you...
was like, yeah, I can spend forever doing this. That's why I decided I could be an artist because I was like, this is what I enjoy doing. This my life. But yeah, this is the first piece I ever made. I was really, it's still embarrassing now. And I wanted to draw Zenyatta,
Oh, is it
so I
because
did.
you the monk thing? Is this like robot
Mm,
monk? Mm.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. I liked him because he was a monk and because he's just a cool character. I like playing as him.
Mm.
And he would just I think he's still a really underrated character, which is stupid, but he was pretty cool. and I just thought I'll draw him. Pretty goo, you know,
Uh-huh. And
and make
look,
some.
hand. Hand before? And yeah. Isn't it fun? Isn't it fun? What do you
See, yes, I'm not as impressed by my hands because I remember time when I used to draw hands like this is like 3 weeks ago, you know. So I'm not as impressed as I should be, I guess, you know.
Yeah,
I'm like I remember when I drew like this yesterday, you know. There
it's
you go.
hard to feel. Even though
Trying to
games give you such instantaneous, immediately as soon as you do something right, the reward is right there. And
yeah,
even
it's
though
like
it can happen with art, it's so gradual. Like you may not even notice when you just suddenly done it right.
oh yeah.
There's no
There's no like
where's the reward?
ching and then you level up and then
Sound
suddenly
effects.
you have a new move. Yeah, like that. You don't get all your advantages at once. It's more like real life where you get them very slowly over a long period of time and they don't even notice you got them.
Awful. How
Okay,
awful.
what should I do next?
Oh, I've been studying, trying to see where the holes in my knowledge are, trying to combine the machination of all the art advice I've ever gotten into one thing. Like this
Yeah.
thing I'm doing now is a combination of the irritating knife guy and Proco and a little
Uh,
ergo Josh. I can't. I don't.
gosh. I guess I'll just try doing more fun stuff. Whoopee. um, I'll do a thing I want to draw.
Long hammed.
No, no, I really like robot from I'm super into like ancient technology,
Hmm.
but also like steam technology,
Hey,
which is like what a lot of Studio Ghibli has.
hmm. Yeah, remember
So,
when you did a mech for fun? The one wheel mech?
uh, which one?
Heckin' a anti-metal suit riding in a
Ah, right, right. That's one of the first showed my art teacher,
Hmm.
and I think that
I'm sorry, you're cutting out.
I think I made a second version that I never finished.
Oh yeah, you did sketch out something.
Yeah, but yeah, I remember it. Why you bring it up, huh? Just to
Hmm.
shame
I'm just trying to inspire that this is consistent. You like robot-y, Gundam-y, old thing, ancient tech. And that
me? Yeah.
maybe having it pointed out to you will make you lean into it and you'll find more joy.
No.
Never.
Nope.
It's funny
Um.
since I keep also running into similar walls of joy.
Yeah.
And
We
then
are one the same. You did this to me. You did this to me, Mark.
why did you let me become artist?
Why did
Why?
you make me up? Why? Uh, it just looks like I drew a bad strawberry.
you just began. Chill. You just
This is
started.
this is how it works. This is how it works. Right. Um, I don't know. What's your favorite genre besides mushrooms? I guess.
Genre. Oh, like weird themey things. I like
Yeah. Yeah.
swamps in general. Water plus land, hella dope. Anything damp, yeah, it's great.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Even doesn't dampness kill you though?
Of
Or is it
course,
dryness?
everything kills me. Dampness
Well,
and dryness is the
yay.
because
Isn't
anything that thrives in a damp environment, I'm also allergic to.
uh-huh. Now what draws you to it though? What about makes you
Yeah,
makes your gooch smooch?
you know how you would have been a physicist? I would have been a marine biologist.
Oh, neat. Were
Hmm.
you also driven away by your peers?
They wouldn't let me in the class.
Oh, nice. So it is a similar story.
It was luck of the draw. Like, there were how many science classes, and I got a teacher who was amazing, but also I didn't get into marine biology, so that was a pity. But I did adore my chemistry teacher.
Surprised that your theme is not like ocean life then, if you wanted marine biology.
Well, it's just an extension of enjoying water, enjoying watery creatures. And then,
Yeah.
trees just. There's something about the shape of trees, the way the branches gnarl and stuff, that just are
Yeah.
amazing. And then you combine that in a damp environment that gets flooded, and it's just this kind of surreal, magical experience. It's almost like space, but with land and water. It's a
Yeah.
little
That one.
surreal, a little abstract.
It's nice.
Mm. And then there's
I
always
guess
something weird about the surface of water. I always think about how the surface of water could just be a fucking portal, and then, it might just be a
yeah.
puddle, but all of a sudden a monster could come out and just eat your foot, and it's. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
That's what I think about too every time I go take a bath.
No, I do. I do. When I was a kid, I terrified the fuck out of myself because that's all I would think about. Like, sure,
Yeah.
it may be just a tub now, but in 2 seconds, there's gonna be a monster. It's gonna take me.
It's like that freaking SCP Foundation stuff.
Hmm.
You remember that?
I remember SCP, but I don't
Oh
remember a
god,
particular
there's a
monster.
similar monster
I'm
that is
sure.
like
It's also rubber
way
duck.
yeah, no, well it's based on water or something, and I think like the more you come into contact with water, the more likely you are to be pulled through the portal and into the world where that monster resides or something.
That's
So at
cool.
some point you just have to like avoid water. And then I think it's they treat it like a disease, like the worse, the closer you get to um like the more water you touch, the closer you get to being able to cross over to the point where like you could be drinking a glass of water and then you just get pulled into the dimension and eaten,
What's your
you
water
know?
coefficient?
Yeah. Stuff like that. Uh mm, I I guess for me swamps are too wet.
Do it.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think about when I think of swamps is I hate mud. I hate mud like more than anything, so I could never see the same aesthetic. I can see the magic of it for sure, because
Hmm.
I've seen like beautiful images of swamps, with all the fireflies and the lights, yada yada, and it looks amazing. But the second thought right after, wow, this looks amazing, is always mud. Mud.
Matt,
I'm walking in mud. There's
jump
mud
in the
on
mud.
my boots. There's muds on my pants. There's mud crusted on my fingers. you know, and
uh,
it rapidly loses interest in that.
mm,
And you know,
hmm. I also like the mechanics in it because it's either nothing changes and a body will be
yeah,
preserved in the obscene amounts of tannin and whatever the hell else in the still bed of water, or
yeah,
it's a complete decomposition.
yeah.
And then that's interesting to me. So it's kind of awful that mud and it smells and it's awful and mosquitoes everywhere, but also it's so cool. It's
Yeah.
just unintentionally fit right into the mythos of collecting trash and then processing it
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
then
In that way, it is kind of perfect for you.
hmm it fell into place really. It's just the right environment for me to expel my creative endeavors.
Yeah.
Pick up your
Well,
trash.
the trash. I guess for me, I just always I like forests, right?
Hmm.
Way more than I like swamps.
Hmm.
I guess it's just because in Switzerland, there's so many beautiful forests in the right locations. You
Hmm.
know, the huge like the huge pine wood forest where it's just snow and pines and you look around and that's all there is, you know?
Yeah.
I guess it always felt like there was this kind of similar to what you have with like the surface of water.
Mm.
It's more like it feels like it could go on for infinity,
Mm.
you know? Like I could stare out into the forest and I could just imagine that there would be like an infinite amount of forest, just going off into that direction. And
Mm.
there could be anything. There can be clearings, there can be lakes, there can be rivers, cliffs, it feels like there's this huge array of like wonders to be seen. I guess I'm also biased because a lot of like great stories I've read start out in forests and they always have these amazingly cozy vibes. Like
Mm.
like Bone starts off with him getting stuck in a forest over winter, I think.
Mm.
And it's just drawn beautifully. And he has all the little forest creatures talking to him, and it's really cute, you
Mm.
know. And right after that, he's being chased by giant rat monsters or something. Yeah, and the story takes a few jumps. uh, yeah, no, I guess that's what it's more calming to me. I associate forests with like the nice dry, clear sunlight that you can like kind of curl up in. You know, swamps forever be like mud. There's mud. There's mud on my boots. Yeah, you know what I mean, right?
I'm just picturing like if we do the garden thing, anytime Heck has to go close to the garden, it's like mud.
It's mud. Oh god, yeah.
But yeah, like the benefit of swamp, I guess, was the compromise between marine biology and forest. Because I do get what you mean. Because if I were to be obscenely rich, I wouldn't buy a forest. I mean, I wouldn't buy a swamp. I'd buy a forest and then make a pond
Yeah.
somewhere. As good as it gets.
I would buy a forest and import the mud.
This is Martian assault. Would you like a mud bath? How about some mud mask? What about mud syrup?
Hi,
Dip your toes in
would
the
you
mud.
like some pie?
Mm.
Uh, I don't even know what I'm drawing at this point.
Isn't it nice and relaxing to just doodle though?
I guess in my brain, see, I'm craving not this. I'm craving the next chapter of Octopath Traveler.
Oh.
Yeah. In my mind, I'm just thinking about that.
I have a weird connection with cravings. If I'm away from something I'm craving for too long, I'll adapt
Yeah.
away from it. And so if
Huh.
I have a craving, I need to, capitalize on it. Otherwise, it'll just go
Yeah.
away. But
Yeah.
then through the process of
Kind
life,
of like an orgasm.
well, I don't know. that one. Because, that's a little, the mechanics could be similar, but vaguely different. But yeah, but then in daily life you have to force yourself to get into stuff constantly, and it's just such a drag because you have to force yourself to get into your studies, then force yourself to stop their studies and then do something else, and force yourself to stop start over and over.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to. The weird thing is, I crave video games, you know?
Yeah.
But if I play them for too long, I will get very, very miserable. You know, like if I go very long without doing art, I will be incredibly upset.
Yeah.
Even though the video games are fun, it just feels wrong. Like it feels like I want to make art, and then when I sit down to make art,
I feel
it's
like
like I
crap.
want to do something else. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess because in my head I build up all the great ideas I have, and then in person it is like, I forgot my art skills are mud. There's mud in my brain.
Spent too much time with Drake. Fuck. Hmm.
I don't know.
Constant struggle is what it is.
Yeah, that is all there is. You know.
The struggle.
Um, I really wonder, like new artists feel like this, you know, because all the artists we know have been in the game for long.
Hmm.
You know, I think I'm the only one who's really like the newcomer, unless I'm wrong, right? Do we know anybody else?
Amongst our group. Yeah, we haven't had new blood in a while, so
Yeah.
Um, if we can count Zura one day, maybe that would be a similar story. Wait, no. No, he would have started later than you. You would have been the oldest, youngest to start, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, but even then, at this point, I don't need somebody who's a beginner. I need somebody who's at my level, so that we can gossip about how terrible it is to be at this stage.
Oh, well, I thought you were looking for the beginners. Are you looking? You're looking
Yeah,
for people
I,
who are
no, that is what I said, right? But I just thought about it for a second. I thought that wouldn't help either, right?
right. Well,
Because
the introspection was more like, I wonder how they feel if they're blinded by the wonderful ignorance that is you.
oh no, no, no. I was thinking more like I wonder how they would deal with struggling at this level,
Oh.
and like the whole idea that it's difficult to kind of get your own brain the technical limitations you know you have.
Mm.
It's not like the fun lies in a specific exercise or a specific thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not like you can. It doesn't. It truly doesn't matter what you're doing because you can have fun doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost just like it's the brain, you know, and why is it not having fun? Even though clearly, you know, I'm a better artist than I was before. My brain is actually having less fun than before. You know, it's the cruel irony of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is something better hashed out in therapy.
um, Gosh, there's a lot of people who force themselves. Like once they get the ball rolling, it's more natural. I
Yeah,
think I go into that camp. It is definitely by force, but then also I think that's what fucked me up a little earlier.
yeah,
Cause if you do something by force at a certain point, maybe you're not retaining stuff. It's like going through the motions, but the intent isn't there. I even notice it in my strokes. I always have to edit a stroke, and I don't have any stroke confidence.
what way you stroking?
Wouldn't you like to know? And then there's
Uh,
people who say never, ever, ever, ever draw when you're not in the mood for it. You know those people, right? They're like, how do you
oh,
have
there
this
you go.
much positivity in
That's
your?
the. I mean, there you go. That's the perfect example of like misguided crap art advice. You know, like it works for certain people, sure, but definitely not for us.
Yeah. It's really weird hearing about and seeing that it works. Like I can't believe it. They're successful artists and it works for them. How does that brain dissect the brain? How does it work?
I
Why?
just don't draw when I don't feel like it. It's like no,
Like
then I would just die.
yeah, that's like it's the first thing that I think of is what do they mean by feel like it? What if their feel like it is completely different by what we mean when we say feel like it? That's what I goes
Entirely
back to, you know. What if we're using the same words, but we definitely don't mean the same things in the least?
that's entirely possible, but at least by our definition and by the like loose way people say it in like advice videos, it's absolute crap advice, you know? It's like just draw when you feel like it. No. I mean, if you want to do it as a hobby, yeah, sure, but if you want to make it into a career, you got to draw. You can't show up to work and be like, "Oh, I just don't feel like drawing today, boss." You know?
But what?
I don't think I'm in the mood. And I read that you should never draw when you're not in the mood. So I guess I'll see you tomorrow. I just thought I'd sit down in your office, jerk off a little bit, wait until like something changes. Hope you don't mind.
Yeah, but what if it means that you have to force yourself into the mentality? Like, there's some tricks where if you're not feeling it, you can just do this routine and kind of form the quote unquote mood. You know, with the whole conditioning myself to get endorphins for finishing things. It could be talking about shit like that. Because if I drew without, you know, being there, being game, I'm gonna do badly. I'm not gonna draw as quickly. It's gonna be almost a waste of my time because I'll make such slow progress that I might as well not have done it at all because I'll make, obscene amounts of progress if I had just done a couple more steps to get myself ready and then, then I'd be like, ah, yes, this is it. But that line is so
Yeah,
vague that it's hard to even explain it to somebody else.
yeah. Uh, this is gone from art talk to depression talk.
It's similar vibes because it's almost when people are struggling with being sadness, there's a level of having to want change and to force change into your life, and you're never gonna feel like it. So it's very similar, where it hurts to study, it hurts to fail, and you have to force yourself to go through it anyway. So it's very similar in some regards, some very anecdotal regards.
It is. At this point, my brain is doing that thing that I don't like, where it's kind of emptying and I have no idea what to do.
Hmm.
uh,
Well, aren't you just making a kind of environment where this robot exists? Like, why don't you think about the story that you're being told? You can kind of get sucked into why you're drawing it and what things go together. Like, you got some artifacts that kind of look like parts of old robots, and you almost had a road or maybe some cords down there at the bottom. So maybe this is just where the robots go to die. Sorry, I'm gonna.
death. Sure. Why don't we do that? Death always inspires me. I'll just draw some vague, discombobulated shape, and that'll quickly add up to like broken robot yard.
Because it's funny. I've been I'm watching this streamer learning things that they do and kind of market studying and also technique studying and stream studying. And I noticed when they deal with other people's art, they avoid the technical and go straight into the thought process. Like he's making people think about what they're drawing and why, which I think is a nice way to handle it because one, you don't have to get into the whole you're right or and someone else is wrong, but then also you're giving them the lesson of something a lot of people don't do, which is think. Like you were telling me before how you had to be told to think about why you were drawing a line the way it was being drawn, and so
Yeah,
maybe
considering the material.
yeah,
That's
maybe you have to
the
think
thing.
about what you're drawing because it's amazing to me that you can get lost in drawing something that you makes you happy. It's like almost as if you don't know what would make you happy even though you do know, like in there you absolutely know what makes you happy because of the stuff you read and the stuff you want to make, and it's just like
Yeah,
in the moment when you're drawing all that shit goes out the window.
yeah. Your brain just goes back to the factory setting.
Yeah, like these things don't exist. I'm focusing on suffering right now. There's no
Yeah,
way we have room for this.
yeah. I get what you mean. It's a cruel irony.
It is just
Um,
cruel. What are
yeah.
we doing?
Um, that's something my teacher probably get get sad about that I'm not doing is the like considering the story behind stuff.
Hmm.
That was one of our earliest lessons. It was always like the most important thing in any art piece, in any comic art piece, right? Not any.
Hmm.
Is the story. You know, like you want to be able to look at something and go, I kind of know there's a story. You
Hmm.
know, like there's something to be told here. There's a reason why it's like this in a way. You know.
Yeah, it depressed me too. Remember when you were concerned about characters being plot devices instead of actual
Yeah.
characters?
Because I get so excited after watching a plot device video. I'm like, oh my god, I can do that.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
get real forgetful that the characters are supposed to have personalities.
yeah. I enjoy treating characters like they're people, so it kind of already sets the tone of what I'm building. I guess that's
Yeah.
also how I cope with all the things we have to learn. I feel like a tiny god, you know. I have to know all these things because I'm making them. I have to
Yeah,
know the physics and how the physics are gonna look. I have to know structure. I have to know people. Anytime I'm stuck in a place I don't want to is just an opportunity to learn more things about what's gonna be in the world that I create, and I have to
yeah.
know it because I'm gonna be its god.
To be honest, yeah, it's a little concerning that I don't do that as well.
You're
'Cause it feels
also
like
very focused on the end. You need the goal, you need to succeed. You're just focused on the product and what it's gonna be, and kind of, it's hard to stop and focus on the process.
yeah, it just like it's weird because I know my own limitations, right? I know this is, but I almost don't know how to tackle it.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
Like it's like I know I should be focusing more on that stuff, but uh, that's kind of where my thought process ends. I'm like to accomplish it. I mean, I'm
Hmm.
trying right now. Just doodle away for fun.
Hmm.
You know, and we can see where that'll lead me. But like beyond that, it's like, what's my next big project? It used to be easier, right? Because I used to do comics, and comics kind of answered that question. What am I gonna do for myself in my free time? Comics, easy. Now it's kind of like, oh, what am I doing?
I guess it's a logic based answer though, because you had already predetermined that answer, and so
Yeah,
whenever you never had to double check yourself to see if the answer had changed. Whereas I think this is a level of introspection that maybe is unfamiliar. Like, I think there's some levels of introspection you're very good at, but the ones that have to do with what do I like?
what?
What do I even want? What is this
It's
doing to me is completely out of the spectrum.
gone.
So I don't know. Maybe you need to watch yourself in a really funny way. Like, what am I doing? What is this? What is this doing to me? What?
One thing that's just consistent there all the years is I almost don't know what's fun. Even like picking references,
Mm-hmm.
I have such a hard time because I don't know which, and I know it doesn't matter because I just have to pick one that I kind of like, start doing it, which I am doing now, but then learn it, and then eventually, after having learned it, I'll just subconsciously eliminate the stuff I don't like,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I won't draw it, I won't draw the stuff I don't like, and then eventually the only stuff that'll be left over is like the concentrated stuff that I liked the first time. But then it's so difficult to pick because I'm like, I like this, but there's things about it I don't like.
It's a weird yeah, it's the weird decision paralysis you got. It has to be perfect. Maybe this
Yeah,
just boils down to the OCD nature where even if this is helping you a little bit, it's not helping you enough. Like, ding, game achievement, you've succeeded.
yeah,
You're not getting that solid 100% feedback. And so the, 30% improvement is like, nah. No. It is
oh
not.
yeah. That is the way I'm playing Octopath Traveler right now is with a guide, so I
Yeah.
don't miss any chests, and it's so
You
deeply,
you
so
little
deeply satisfying.
grub.
It tickles my insides in such a nice way because I'm like, yes, yes, I have all the items. You know,
The
Even
control and perfection that you can't obtain in almost anything else in life.
yeah. Well, there's something so nice about like knowing I've done it all. It's like I've missed out on nothing. Uh, yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just a disorder at this point. I mean, I talked to my therapist about that
Mhm.
a while ago, about OCD and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And people with OCD, the thing is that most of them will know that there's something wrong. You know,
Yeah.
like they'll know it's a compulsion. They'll know that it is harming them. And like standing in the way of their daily life and stuff like that. But even though people are aware of the issue, it's really hard to stop, you know?
Yeah, of
And
course.
it's in part because the reason why like tendencies like OCD develop is because they come from fear, you know?
Hmm.
They come from the fear of what is going to happen if I don't. For me, I guess it would be something like what, like I'm afraid of missing out or something
Hmm.
like that. And the fear of missing out is superseded by by me like coping with it through like trying to do 100% of everything, right?
Hmm.
And even if that makes me miserable, I'll still do it because the fear of missing out is greater than the pain of bull
Doing things
crap.
that aren't fun.
Yeah, to an extent, because eventually it does become too inconvenient to keep up.
Hmm.
And that's where the point where a lot of people with OCD will be very upset,
Hmm.
because they'll know it's an issue and they won't know how to stop.
Hmm.
My therapist's response was just like, "Suck it up." I
I
mean,
mean, it
essentially,
is, yeah, it kind of, it's like the sentiment of get good, and it's irritating
yeah,
and disrespectful and rude, but also it's not completely wrong either.
yeah. You just the way to get over it, the way to is to let it happen.
Mm.
Is to let yourself miss out, and it's to let yourself feel the fear.
And
Like
just
you're
get
afraid of
used to
missing
it.
something. Well, okay, miss something,
Yeah, yeah.
and feel yourself missing it, and then eventually it won't be all that bad anymore,
Hmm.
over time. But that's the barrier to entry, it's like you have to like it's like you have to swallow this huge pill, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like after you swallow that huge pill, there'll be a slightly bigger, a slightly smaller one, and a slightly smaller one, and a slightly smaller one, And every day you have to swallow a pill that's slightly smaller, and you have to keep doing that until you're done, and you gotten to the point where you're not bothered by this stuff anymore, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, it's more conditioning, more uh habit making, Pavlovian level of
Yeah.
self training. Ah, it is unusual.
Sounds so tired all of a sudden. What's the matter?
Oh, I've decided to join you in drawing something that makes me happy.
Oh, nice. And that is has that triggered the unhappiness?
Well, I feel the same things you do. So this is why we get along. Is that we've reached this point where I realize that you just speak out loud a lot more than other people do. Where
Mm.
there's this almost tacit understanding that this things that we think are kind of true, but also we shouldn't say them because it's unfair to a lot of people. And then you're just like, la, la, la. But it's not like people aren't thinking it. It's not like it's not what you think, it's what you do with it. And even if you
Yeah,
think I'm going to quit art today, you're not gonna quit art. It's just the
yeah,
feeling, and it's not like I don't feel that. I'm like, today's the day. I'm gonna do it today. I'm gonna quit. But no,
yeah.
you never
That
quit.
was such a like long thing between the two of us.
Yeah, I
We
didn't get it.
constantly, yeah, you constantly thought I was gonna quit art. No, I just said it, but I didn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Duh. Fight.
Now the
Stupid
integrity
mind.
is there, and now I get it. You just complain a lot.
Yeah, I just complained a lot.
But it's fair. It's not like I don't feel those. It's not like I haven't thought it to myself. It's not like anything like that. They're all there inside somewhere. It's just I shove them down a lot harder because I don't want them out. It's just
Oh,
stay
same.
put, get out. I have stuff to do. Get out of my way.
Uh, I wonder what it'll be like in like a year, you know?
Well, I hope I get over this because it's really bumming me down. I need. I'm so close. I'm irrationally close because, sure, I've got a lot of things to learn, but also, if I could just pick up the speed, I could actually make a bank. I could do this
Yeah,
with what I have right now. I can do it because there is a demand and there's a niche, and I can fill the niche. Like she said, I
yeah,
can do it. It's so infuriating. What worse way to just have what you want right in front of you, and the only thing keeping you from it is you.
you just described every chapter of my life in like the last since I quit school.
Yeah, you're actually doing very well with what you did because you played the game, but that's also what killed you. You played the game, and I knew that playing the game would kill me, so I haven't played the game, and also my growth will never be as much as yours.
Oh, you mean the Instagram game?
Yeah, Instagram, comics, commissions, all that stuff.
No. Apparently, I have really great follower engagement. Uh, I always complain about, but apparently you're only supposed to get like 10% of your total followers interacting with you.
Because you're never happy.
I guess not, because Instagram floods you with people who are more successful than you. But it's not like they deserve being more successful because what they make is absolute crap, you know? And it's not like the kind of crap where it's like, oh, this is modern art, you just don't get it. Oh, kind of crap. No, it's like, oh, look, here's the same joke I uploaded yesterday. Ha 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 ha. Isn't this fun? Oh my god, 50,000 likes? Yeah, you shouldn't. Ha 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 ha. You know, and then they get paid for that crap. And then it's like, buy my comics. One print for 15 bucks. You know? Look, look, just control C, copy paste, print it. You don't have to pay 15 bucks for it, you know? Uh, like, you know how many times I've seen the, oh my god, when you close your eyes in the shower, you can see maybe there's a demon, haha, you know? Like, I've seen that joke like 50 times. It's never funny and it's never original. The artists, it's not like they don't know what they're doing when they're making those jokes. Like, they know for a fact that it's something stupid, been done before, and it's just lame crap. And they don't put any spin on it. There's no variation. They just, that's it. That's it. That's the whole joke. The whole joke is, haha, what if there was a demon? That's not funny. That's not comedy. It's just crap. Putting this crap in my feed, Instagram.
You know what's funny? I've never seen that joke before.
You will now.
Oh god, don't. No, no. This is why I don't check Instagram. You're flooded with like hundreds of memes you sent me on Instagram, and I'm like, nice, I guess. I have drugs to do.
It's just infuriating what you have to do to keep up with like the comic game on Instagram. Because I follow a lot of comic artists, right? And they upload like every 2 days, and half of it is just stuff they've already uploaded before because they need to keep something up for the Instagram algorithm, right?
Uh-huh.
And it works, but it's just tiring crap. Like Mr. Lovenstein, you've seen his comics before. They're really simple and they're really nice, you know? But from time to time, you know, whenever he uploads like every 2 days, which is like crazy frequent, you just notice, I wonder if I've seen this one before. You know?
Well, even Shen was like, if you read his stuff in bulk, a lot of it is life sucks. I'm sad.
Yeah.
And
I guess when I realized all this stuff, that's the point where I realized I didn't really want to make comics on Instagram anymore.
mm,
'Cause it just feels bad as well, you know? You're
mhm.
doing it and it feels like crap. And then you constantly being compared with people who are getting like 50,000, 20,000, 10,000. It doesn't matter, you know? More subscribers, followers, views, likes, comments than you know?
Well, I have
And
to. Yeah, you can
yeah.
finish your thought, and then I'll
No,
chime in.
I mean, it's one thing if you seek that stuff out, compare yourself. And it's another thing when Instagram is the one bombarding you with it, being like, "Look at all these people more successful than you." You know?
I guess I think of it as Twitter again because like even if you don't use Instagram anymore and don't do Instagram comics specifically, there's still gonna be people, and it's still gonna like a lot of people who use Instagram use other stuff as well, And with art, there's always someone who's quote unquote better than you, and you want to aspire to. And what are you gonna do then? You can't pin it on Instagram. You can't pin it on there's certain things that are situational to a platform. It's now someone you feel is doing something cheeky and getting away with it and making
Yeah.
bank.
I think I think it's just the quantity of it all, you know? Like if I saw that like in an isolated case and I was just scrolling by and it's like, oh, here it is, you know? This guy pooping on canvases making $20,000 per piece, you know? I'd be like, okay, that's stupid, you know, and I could move past it. But something like Instagram, they just, you know, it's not just one post. It's like what's it they got rid of like this feature recently where they stop showing you only what you follow in your feed and start showing stuff they suggest in between the posts that are in your home feed, and everybody hated it, you know.
Mm.
So now you can't even have the option to only see what you follow people for. Now they just force like suggestions onto you. That's where it gets frustrating, right?
Mm.
Because you just constantly bombarded with it. Like there's almost no dodging it, you know? Because they know I'm interested in art, you know? I have an art account. So they just give me art stuff. It's just a shame that so much of art stuff on Instagram is just that's like that.
I wonder if I'm just very good at filtering out stuff. Like, I don't know.
I mean, possible. I feel like if you didn't follow comic accounts to see what they're up to, or art accounts to check their updates, then you wouldn't get the art suggestions that are really cool, you know?
Art suggestions I get are I don't see mine being too flooded. It's basically just the illustrators that I follow.
Yeah. Huh. Maybe it's just because you don't check it as often.
Maybe.
But yeah, it's just tiring. It feels like if you want to really get an audience on these sites, like enough to like kind of get some nice interaction going, you know, between like a lot of people, you would
Mm.
have to sell out in a way. I know one artist who pretty much is only doing fan art. They are massively successful. Like they have like 20,000 followers or something, and it only started once they started doing fan. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they aren't very happy doing it because they constantly upload stuff like, "Oh, I'm sick today. I can't do a post today." Yada yada yada. You know, and that's like every 2 days there'll be a post about them being sick and not being able to do a post. You know,
Yeah, if
and
you're this is an
yeah,
example from last week. Yeah, if you're not having fun doing the thing, you're not going to be able to keep doing it. It's like how people say that you shouldn't jump on the trend unless you actually care about it because it's going to show. Like people who do fan art for stuff they're not fans of. I don't like that. It doesn't look good and you sometimes they miss something really funny.
that is interesting. That goes to show that I guess artists on a subconscious level will recognize like things that make the character that aren't necessarily like just the appearance. You
Yeah.
know?
Fans and artists alike picking fake fan art people. Yeah, selling out's really funny because it's never not been like that. And like when you compare my uncle and his museum work and needing an agent and getting involved with their community there, there's such a strong level of connections, networking, going around, getting advice, getting connections. In
Yeah.
DeviantArt days, you collaborated, did art trades. With Twitter, you can do Twitter challenges and
Yeah.
whatever else other things that are trending just to get seen. It's a whole game in every regard. We kind of need people. This is a society.
Yes.
uh, there's gonna be some degree of selling out. At what point do you think is the right amount for you, or is it just none?
it's I want to say it's none, but that's obviously not true, right? Because I will sell out to get my goals, you know?
Yeah.
But I won't ever be happy doing it. That's the thing.
Hmm.
As that's what I did for a lot of comics. I tried doing what was popular, so what I wanted, you know? And I never felt happy posting those things,
Hmm.
you know? Because it always felt like it was just something I'm doing to have done. You know, it never felt like I could be proud of it, even if it was good on a technical level. 'Cause it
Right.
just wasn't genuine. And I can't imagine doing that more than very occasionally. I can see people having to bite the bullet and to sell out and selling out maybe to get an advantage or something like that, you know? Like I can see that, but doing it every day for the rest of your days because that's your career now, I can't see that. I feel like I would hate myself and
Mm.
my job, and that just defeats the whole point of why I wanted to do art, because I like doing art,
Mm.
and I want to do it because I like it, you know.
A lot of
That's the, yeah.
like a lot of people don't like their jobs even if it's in a venue that they kind of enjoy because being forced to do anything just creates a level of disenjoyment. Do you think you'd be better off not doing art as a like career and keep it as a passion? What do you think with the whole money situation in it?
Oh, I don't ever have to work. I mean, I'm fortunate enough in that sense, right?
Well, not
So
necessarily. You're being blackmailed essentially. If you don't make
yeah,
it, you have to be forced to do something else, and everything you've
yeah,
built up to this point is going to crumble
I
because
guess
you're going to have
so.
to do the thing you didn't want to do at the beginning of this adventure.
Hmm.
So you have the same pressure as me. It's just very delayed.
Yeah. No, I would want to do this as a job, but when I say as a job, I mean it as in like I am rich and I can do whatever I want. My job is making the art I want, you know?
Hmm.
In a dream scenario. But I'm willing to compromise that heavily,
Hmm.
right? I'm willing to be like, okay, I'm gonna work as a comic artist and a colorist in a studio for like 18 hours a day.
Would you be open to
Yeah.
the colorizing
Yeah, like
colorizing?
100. Being a colorist is just busy work. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's very like tedious, but I mean, it's just part of it, you know, and it's not like you won't learn a lot of other stuff
Mm-hmm.
working in a studio, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like a lot. Um, I feel like it's not just about your experience; it's about marketing too. The connections you can make
Mm-hmm. The
in
game.
like a studio, like, you
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
know? And if I was like, okay, I need a job. Like if I say I need a job in like a year or two, you know, then I would just seek out like an art studio and be like, okay, do you guys need an intern or a colorist or something that's dumb and menial labor that I can do, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
art wise, and I'll do it, you know, because or like concept art, you know, not concept art, sorry, storyboarding, where you just kind of sketch out the stuff. And even
Mm.
if you start out at one like a colorist or something, it doesn't mean you're not gonna work on other projects, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Be like, hey, heck, you know, come into the office, you know, we're doing storyboards, we want your opinion, blah blah blah, you know. And suddenly you're working on storyboards, even though you're hired to be a colorist, you know, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I really don't mind compromise. I mean, I have no doubt I'll be famous. Like that's one thing that I have never doubted in my life is that I will be massively successful.
Mm.
You know, look at me. I'm a charismatic, beautiful son of a gun.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah,
All I
yeah.
have to
You don't
do
make
is
enemies wherever you go. That's
no, I
never.
would never make enemies. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I feel like you know, if along the way I have to take some detours to work, you know,
Mm-hmm.
at a studio or something, then I would love to do that because it's something. It's great. I think it would be great, you know. But if I don't have to, then it's like whatever. I can study by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I have to slave away doing colors for somebody else. because when I have to, you know. Here you go.
Man, how do you think you're gonna deal with the burnout? Because, like, imagine the amount of hands you had to
How I'm
do.
gonna deal with the burnout of art.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, if you had to do the job of art, because doing hand practices for so long was driving you slowly insane. As a
Yeah.
colorist, you're gonna just be doing the color masks over and over again.
Uh, how am I gonna deal with it? Well, I guess the same
Yeah,
way I
yeah,
dealt
yeah.
with school, but in a more positive way, right?
Ah, that's fair.
Where you just kind of, it's like driving a car. Like if somebody asked me to drive a car every day, at first it would be like, oh, I'm driving a car again. But eventually it would just fade into the background, you know, and then suddenly my motor skills would improve and I would just do it very subconsciously, you know. It would just become this thing that I am doing now, you know?
You
And my
zone
brain
out.
would be on other. Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, heck, do the colors for this. I'm like, okay, you know? And I'm just doing the colors, you know? My brain is
Mm-hmm.
like working on my own stories or whatever. Or I can be chatting to Dave next door, you know, who it's like I don't know, mm, furiously fighting his wife for alimony. You know?
But Dave is making a return
You know,
from
something
last
like
week.
that. Look at that. I just made a hand out of nowhere. Looks 10 times better than hands 3 weeks ago. You know, so I guess that's how I would handle burnout. It's just stuff like this, you know. It works. When I first started my art lessons, I would waste an entire week doing a stupid logo or something, you know. Now my art teacher immediately called me out. He was like, "What the what?" He's like, "What are you doing? It's a complete waste." And then for the first time in my life, I was like, "Hmm, yeah, that's kind of true," you know. And I think he realized that I was kind of an idiot, you know. So he didn't give me like crazy difficult tasks, you know. He didn't tell me to do the workload I have now, you know,
Uh-huh.
because back then I couldn't have handled it. But now he's like, draw me 14 hands a week. I'm like, okay, you know, and I'll do it, and I'll cry, but I'll do it,
I'll
and
shed
I'll
tears.
manage. Yeah, and I'll manage without like suffering for the whole day on one hand because that's what I would have done last year, right? I would have
Yeah.
been like, I can't draw a hand, and I'm going to spend like 6 hours drawing one hand, and that would have not even like a full hand. I would have spent 6 hours drawing like a sketch, and it
Mm.
would have been too much to draw 14 hands a week. You know? But slowly, as time progresses, I can do more, and the more I can do, the less burnout I'll feel overall. Because the stuff that will have given me burnout before is only like a tiny part of the overall things that I'm doing right now, you know? Or
Mm-hmm.
it's only a tiny part of what I can handle. I can just do more. Know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. That's something that I had to learn as well. Because, with me, my problem with commissions is that I will do what I know, and depending on how much I enjoy or like, or the stars align, the planets are all in a row.
uh,
Venus is in retrograde, is dependent on how well I do. And
yeah.
then I'll get stuck on, a hand or a face angle, and I'll want to make it perfect. And then I'll just spend, 5 hours redrawing this dumb
Yeah.
hand repeatedly. And it feels very similar to that, where I could perfect one thing, or I could just go finish it, done, deal with it. And even if people see it, even if I'm not imagining things, and people are like, "No, that looks really weird," I don't feel like this. I'm comfortable with this being here when I know you've done better before. Like I just have to deal with it. My
Yeah.
average is what I'm offering. It's not my best is not because I can't control my best. My best comes when lightning strikes 3 times in the same spot.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you.
I have to be okay with being faster. I need to do general things faster. I need to just shit out. I'm at most peace when I'm painting. Because all of
Yeah.
a sudden, one stroke looks like a bunch of different details, and
Oh yeah.
you can do suggestion in strokes, and it feels so freeing. There's no
Yeah.
structure. You know me in structure.
Yeah, I know.
No labels.
Yo, yo, ya, shaka.
I just need to get to the point where I can paint in everything. And not even, it's not literally painting, it's the mentality that I have when painting, where it's just, I'm confident in my strokes, I'm confident in my figures, and I just leave it be. It's just done. That's it. I did it.
Yeah, I guess I'm
Bam.
waiting to get to that. I mean, for all the complaining I did today, stuff is still moving forward.
As much as we struggle, the time moves on.
Same with you. I mean, you
Yeah,
can't even compare yourself now to where you were a year ago.
yeah,
And a year is a remarkably short time in the grand scheme of things, you know?
yeah, incredibly short.
Like a very, very short time if you consider how long you fucking live, you know? And
Yeah.
like the fact that you improved so much in the course of 1 year is definitely like woof, you know? Really
Mm-hmm.
good.
Oh.
And except we're all greedy monkeys, right? So it's never enough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Prove within the course of 1 year. It's like more, more. You know, if I spoke to myself from 1 year ago, me from a year ago would probably slap me and tell me to stop studying because I've reached the level I wanted to be at. You know, but me now would be like, no, there's higher horizons. There's more. I want more. You know, I want to be
Mm,
better. I want to have more fun. You know, it's
yeah.
the greed that pushes us.
Agreed.
Uh, but yeah, you tell people how I beat you in an art
Oh, right, the thing you
competition.
wanted to do.
I won. I had just been doing art for a week, two, and I beat Marsh in the art competition.
Well, set the tone. Set the tone. Let's go to the beginning.
The
Oh,
year
that's
was
something for me to delete.
1990.
So,
What was it? Me and Marsh, part of the same game, right? And we both joined this big server for the game. And I don't know whose idea was it to have the art competition? Somebody said we should draw one
Ollie,
of the Ollie said we should draw one of the characters from the game. And like
actually,
it yeah?
what it
Uh-huh.
was
You just decided to lose that day?
so we were just talk. You know, the art channel had just been created. Astro
Yeah.
had abandoned me. Wolf had also abandoned me,
Yeah.
and Ollie was like, you know, Orpheus is cool and all, but look at this excerpt from the Mythos book I have because I love Greek mythology, and I'm gonna post a passage that describes him, Ares, and I want to
Yeah, they
see
got
what the artist's interpretation of the real Ares is. And so we all set off, and a lot of people made fan art of the game itself and didn't actually take originality into mind and like make their own interpretation of what Ares would look
I
like.
can't possibly imagine who you're talking about.
Multiple people, not even just you. This wasn't even your completely your bad. And after the competition was done,
Yeah,
someone was like, "Dude, we did all this work. We should show CM Aries, who was just the name of the
manager of the
CM
game.
community manager." And so they messaged him, got him involved. Look, we made a competition based on drawing you, and they completely changed the prompt. The lost in translation,
What?
telephone.
What?
And so, CM Aries goes and looks over the things, and they're like, we disqualified some of these for being off prompt. We will not be considering them. Which
And
involved,
which
yeah,
piece was disqualified?
the one where Ares was this blood soaked warrior with, fear and dread, trepidation poking out of his gut because those are his children.
Yeah, completely off prompt. I can't believe that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Not Orpheus' story at all. Not the game, no.
Oh god, I forget who won though. Who was the
Oh,
winner?
yeah, yeah. That's someone who drew CM Aries in chibi form and used a lot of splatter and blur tool
Yeah.
and maybe airbrush. So yeah, you won.
I what? What?
You won.
Nah, you come on. I won.
You
I beat you
won.
in our competition, and you were
Yeah.
disqualified
Fair and
because
square. It's disqualification.
I don't know what to say. Guess I'm just a better artist than you.
But it was cute. Like they picked the person who was most involved in the community. You had drawn stuff for them before, so it would have more been a weird move if they didn't like pick someone like that.
That's cute. Yeah. Then they turn into huge races, and then we were all kind of like, ooh, yeah, gosh, and gosh, you know.
Hmm.
Um,
But yeah, how did
yeah.
it feel when you won?
When I won, oh my
Yeah,
god, I
yeah.
don't even remember the feeling.
So it wasn't anywhere close to the dragon then.
No, I remember it was a weird in a different way. I think I remember thinking this is the first time I've won anything in my life.
That's
So
unfortunate.
a part of me was like, yay, and another part of me was like, oh. uh, so that's the way it was. Uh, yeah, it was fun,
Yeah,
you
yeah, it
know.
was fun.
And then I went on to never win a competition again.
Yeah, because then it
And then,
started being in-house voting, and people valued technical skill more than
yeah,
ideas,
for
which
some
was
reason,
unfortunate.
freaking never seen such garbage voting in my life.
Like, I
Uh,
will say that some of my ideas weren't great. It was just technical knowledge that got me noticed.
I bet they were great anyways. I can promise you I don't even remember what the frick.
You don't
Um,
remember the most giganticest boobad Poseidon, femme Poseidon you'd
oh
ever
no, I do
seen?
remember that one.
I
That is the one I remember.
Yeah, I had the most fun with that one. Besides Aries, that I was laughing so hard as I was drawing it because I just wanted to make because I knew as soon as like all this started, I knew that they were gonna start voting based on technical skill rather than
What size?
idea. And so I'm like, I'm gonna make the most disgusting Poseidon imaginable, and they're gonna vote it, and it's gonna win, and I'm gonna laugh my ass off.
God, I remember. I
And
think
I
I
did.
still have that piece. I might still have that piece of yours. Look at this. Is this what you meant with painting, where you can just kind of flip the details?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is
There you
it?
go.
Are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah, it looks like I'm building a forest, but I'm just doing squiggly lines.
Yeah,
Hee
yeah. Because it's not like you can't do that with line art. You know, this the half not completed lines, the
Oh
cross
yeah.
hatching, the swishes that kind of suggest the edges of things. Yeah, no, that the same feeling I get when I paint is something that can be gained while
Yeah.
also doing line art and shit. I just you it's such a funny thing. The things I do for myself are all messy, and all the things I do for people are neurotically clean. Like, you'd be happy, you'd be proud of me to see how clean they are. And it's such a almost an obvious contrast. There's definitely something wrong with my mentality. I put too much emphasis on perfection when I'm doing things for others when no one really notices the difference between the messy and the not messy. And maybe the messy is even better because it's more expressive.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm this crap. Yeah, I get what you mean, because I feel like I'm the opposite.
Mm,
Whenever I
that
do
makes
stuff for
sense.
other people, I just fart it out. Because I guess it's not like I don't put effort into it, but when I do it for somebody else, there's less pressure on me. Almost.
Mm.
Because in my brain, I'm like, okay, I'm doing it for somebody else. It doesn't have to be perfect. But then when I'm doing it by myself, I'm always like, I have to connect the line. And the line has to connect with the line connects. No, there is a gap. Connect the gap. And then when it comes to like cross hatching, I'm like, oh, it's incomplete. There's cross hatching here, but not on all the other part of the art.
Well, that one's fair. Like you with line weighting, it was definitely that way where you would do the weighting underneath the chin and that's it. You wouldn't do anything else.
At least that's different now.
Yeah,
Which
thank goodness. You're
which
praise be to
proves,
your tutor, God.
yeah, it proves that I can change and incorporate new skills into me art by
Miart.
no.
Yeah.
Um, that's actually one of the things that has made me the happiest with art. Is the fact that I learned something new because it
Mm-hmm.
gave me such bleak hope in my dreary like brain state. I was like, I
Oh,
can do it. I can learn,
change.
not just stupid. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So that was very nice to learn that I can because before that my perfectionism drove me to like make all the lines the same thickness and it looked like crap. Like some people can pull it off, but I guess I can't, and I do
Mm-hmm.
like the variation of like line weight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I'm
and
so
and, and
glad.
yeah. And I guess I can learn new things. Oh, teach an old dog a new trick or whatever.
Ah,
But can you
dumb
teach a
dog
retarded
nutrition.
dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, new trick? That's the real question here. How are you liking the piece so far that I drew?
I like it. I've always liked your background stuff because they're so intricate, and with your newfound association with 3D and being able to do effects that suggest emotion, it's just even more pleasing because then there's movement and you're the eye travels around the piece, looking at all the stuff and being like, oh,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah. What?
oh,
What? What?
oh, yeah,
Yeah.
wow.
I'm not gonna start lining this because I feel like it. I'm gonna do something else. And I pray to God my art teacher doesn't see this because he will probably be like, heck, this is great. I'm so glad you're doing something new. Ink it.
Well, we're almost 3 hours in. Do you think he would last that long?
Yeah, I mean, if he watches this, he probably, hi, David, for tuning in, if he did. um, but it's not. I don't mean it in a bad way that you would make me line this. I mean, I know it's good for me, and I know that I would enjoy it too. It's just right in this moment. I don't want to do it. Please forgive me.
And you do even forgive me. Spell me.
There you go. Can't wait to read Bone again. I plan on rereading it like soon
Mm,
because I just love this so much. But this time I'm gonna take some more screenshots as I go along and like a
yeah,
close up.
it's a good
Um,
study idea.
yeah. Maybe I'll study his art next. Jeff, Jeff Smith. Oh my God! Like the artist who made Bone, his name is like Jeff Smith or something, or it's like Jeff Jeff Schmidt, or it's like one of those like nothing names. It's like
Sounds like it's
Waffle's name.
made up.
Yeah, it's like Steve Steve Stanley. It's something like that. Like it's one of those names that just it's so you know.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
It's not like Zanzaboo Badaboo Boo,
Zanzaboo.
where you're like, oh, okay, who is this made by Zanzaboo Badaboo Boo? You won't forget the name. But if I'm like, who made Bones? And Bone is such a generic name for a comic as well. It's like, I want Bone, the comic. And then Google will be like, what? You want a comic about bones, you know? And then I'm like, no, I don't. I want the comic called Bone. And they're like, do you know the artist? I'm like, okay, I want Bone. by by Jeff Bob Bobbery 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 Phil, you know? Oh good. It's just it's I mean good for him for not feeling the need
Good
to
for
like
him.
or like have like having a pen name, but my real name is like it's like real unique. And uh the thing is was I gonna say? My real name is real unique, right? So if somebody saw it, they would be like, okay, that's the artist, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And but if my name was like Philip Frank, you know, Phil Frank, you know, I think I would pick up a pen name and call myself like Filibuster Frankenwurst, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
And people will be like, who's that? Filibuster Frankenwurst. I mean, it's gonna show up on Google. There's no way you're gonna look up Filibuster Frankenwurst and get anything except for my works, you know?
Yeah, it makes it easier to find people.
Mm.
Goodness, even games. I understand why they have to do the thing where it's kind of recognizable and similar to other stuff, but man, does it make it difficult to find it when you're trying to do anything.
Yeah. Especially those like games that just use like a bunch of random symbols or names or something that's really like I get it, you know, they do it because it's like, oh my god, it's a statement, it's a statement. It's a statement, you know.
Yeah.
It's society, it reflects on society. You know. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure it does, buddy, but I can't find it. Can't I can't for the life of me
I can't
find what
play your
you mean.
game. It's
I
invisible.
can't play it. It is not here. It is gone. Yeah, it's just you gotta be able to weigh your options a little bit, you know,
Hmm.
and realize that you might have to compromise your artistic crap to make something that people can actually recognize. You have your effect. It's like
Oh, you're cutting out.
I'm just messing around with the mosaic at this point.
Hmm.
Here you go. You like this?
Shampoo my wheels.
Shampoo my wares. I have blood eye and goo.
Yeah, I think I did come into that problem with the pixelization where it has a kind of white outline. I think it's because of anti-aliasing. I think if we do not pixel
Try that.
minus anti-aliasing on the edges and have anti-aliasing on the inside, it won't have that, but I haven't tested it yet.
I don't even think you need anti-aliasing on the inside since it be blurred.
I mean,
Let me just
fair, but
try.
it doesn't
Um,
matter.
yeah. Let me just try like doing it with like a very pixelated brush.
Mm.
Go. It's just some crap. It doesn't mean anything. Here you go. Filter, effect, mosaic. Boom. Oh, it's not. It's not mosaic enough. But if I crank it up.
Bigger mosaic.
Oh god.
Well, I don't know why it does the weird thing.
Yeah, it still does it even too. Here you go. It's a nice way to make it look like I put more thought into the art than I did. uh, but yeah, sample my wares. uh, I love this. I love drawing heck as like this horrible abomination of goo.
Mm.
You know, because
That's
that's
what
how I feel
happens
every day.
when he when he touches the metal.
Yeah. uh, I do love the just because it is unique in that way. You know,
The what?
I like the fairy race
Mm.
fantasy because it's unique in that. Like being allergic to metal has to be or iron has to be one of like most creative.
People can be allergic to metals.
Yeah, but I mean it's never played out, you know?
Mm.
Like what
It's not
stories have you read where
dramatic.
yeah, where like characters I mean just in general, what stories have you read where characters flaw actually becomes relevant? You
Well,
know?
it's
Because
just
I feel
bad
like that's
writing, but
yeah, that's so nowadays where it's like, oh no, they're setting something up and it never comes around. It
mm.
always makes me wonder who the hell is sitting in the writing team, you know? Why they set it up. clearly somebody had some thought with it and then just abandoned it halfway, which is
Hmm.
even more egregious when you think about the fact that this is not one person but like a team of people working on
Yeah.
something together and then being peer reviewed like 4 times and then being sent off to the editor and then being reviewed another 4 times and then they still manage like, come on.
It makes me intimidated because, you know, the whole thing where on one hand there could be just a ton of incompetent people. On the other hand, it could be like there's problems that arise that no one could even think about, and then it doesn't matter who's attempting it. The perfect conditions would have to arise for things to work out. Even a bunch of intelligent people are working together. Like I can't imagine the amount of red tape and the amount of hurdles, the amount of political things going on in the
Yeah.
background. It's awful because I'm like, I know I could do better, quote unquote, but then also I don't even know what they went through. I'll probably just do the
Yeah.
same dumb shit they do. It's awful thinking about that. 'Cause it just
It
kills the
is.
ambition.
I guess it's just it's hard to it's easier to excuse it when I feel like when it's a smaller studio. When people like Disney about stuff, you
Mm,
expect them to bring forth quality because it's
mm,
Disney. You smack that name on something, it's gotta mean something. Otherwise, nobody's gonna come see your stuff anymore, right?
yeah.
So the degree of quality control should be like insanely high, but I guess it's not. You know, I guess it really isn't. And stuff like politics and like all those other constraints still impact like a studio more than they should. Like recently, they brought out the Book of Boba Fett, right? And
Yeah.
it feels like they completely dropped the ball in like certain parts and which is just unexcusable from like Star Wars, Disney Star Wars. That's like one of their biggest like IPs, you know? That's one of their like main cash cows.
Mm,
And for them to like fumble so hard, like come on, especially like don't even bring up the sequels and Star Wars, you know? It's like they just how can a multi-billion dollar company buy something for 4 billion bucks, realize that it is probably the most important series of movies they're gonna bring out in like the next 5 years, you know,
mm,
and then just completely flop, you know? It's crazy to think about,
mm,
you know. But yeah, the best shows have been made by people who have just been given creative freedom. I feel,
mm.
you know,
And
all
aren't
those shows like
catering
people.
to a million
Yeah,
different genres at once. That's why
yeah.
I'm
I guess.
happy with my obscure niche. Like I know the cute, creepy, kind of chill, spoopy, not really high octane stuff is what I'm gonna make, and I'm gonna cater to my niche.
Gosh, this I mean, this reminds you of all the fact that you never watched any of the shows I ever suggested to you.
It's on the list. Don't worry, it's higher than BB's recommendation. So,
Uh, wow. So second last.
Mm.
Like Gravity Falls is a great.
Look, I want to watch Through the
Uh-huh.
Woods, Over the Hill
Over the
Wall.
garden wall.
Fucking, I
Uh-huh.
can't even.
Through the woods. How about I drag you through the
Drag you through the mud, the mud.
mud? There is mud on the floor. Oh god. Over the garden wall. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I watched the pilot and I adored it, and so I can't wait
Uh-huh.
to see it.
I love the thing you told me to watch, and that is why I haven't watched it.
I'm not allowed to buy things yet.
You want me to buy it for you?
No,
I
you
will buy
dummy.
it for you.
It's a choice. It's a
I will
lifestyle
buy it
choice.
for
No, it's
you.
just a
No,
lifestyle choice. You
I'm
dumbass.
sending it
You
to you
dumbass.
in the
Put it towards the company. Save it for the company.
Look, I will, but before we start a company together, we have to be on the same page. To be on the same
Oh my
page,
god.
you have to watch Over
Like
the
it's
Garden
not
Wall.
gonna. This isn't gonna be the last one. You might as well save your bullets, right?
Oh, no, it just means we have to rush through them. What else do you want? I'll buy you everything.
No. It's just a lifestyle choice because you know hard times will appear, so you can't spend your things.
Nah,
And
I'm good.
not you bitch. Okay.
I wish
This is
I just
gonna
need a
be our business meeting. Like, you can't buy
yeah.
the cotton candy machine, but if we want it.
I'm moving from the Amazon card.
Look, just because I ordered our homemade boba tea person who hand makes all of our boba and then makes our drinks by hand doesn't mean we can't have also a cotton candy machine.
Exactly. I know how to budget myself. Okay.
Okay, fine. I was gonna make you food, but I
Yeah.
guess I'll get some coffee instead.
Waffle just looks to me like, what the fuck is this evolved into?
Oh gosh, I mean, how long have we been doing this now? Like 4 hours?
3 hours. Congratulations. Since the last time I told you the time, like 10 minutes has passed. Are you
Oh.
okay?
I just completely block out every time you talk. The
Uh-huh.
entire thing has just been me talking to myself.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay, I guess do you wanna stop now? Do you wanna stop soon?
It's up to you. I'm doing things I have to do. I've been studying faces and bodies for the past 3 hours, and now I'm trying to do something that I, want to do by applying all the things that I've been studying. And now it's like I didn't do anything. It's like there's nothing here. It looks hard. What am I doing? It looks bad. I did better. Look, wait, just look. The day before, like, look, what? Look, face, too shiny of a face, and yeah, I can't. What's happening? I don't know. It's not even that good of a face. Too shiny.
I think this is a good time to stop. I'll probably go take a break and eat something, and then I'll go back and do my own art studying. We can still call if you want.
I would like that. That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I'll come back a little bit. You're gonna we woke up at around the same time, so I'm assuming we're gonna go to sleep at around the same time. So it'll be okay if I'm gone for a few hours.
All right. Oh, remember the outro, I say to myself.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah, he might care
Anything
quickly.
else you want to impart on our hapless potential listeners?
Yeah,
Yeah?
I'll kill you. I'll come to you. I'll come to your home and I'll eat your liver.
Yeah. Mm.
Now you say something.
F art. As much as I like it, it's a love-hate relationship. One of
Yeah.
my teachers once said that if something goes wrong with art and you take a break and you come back and you're having trouble, think of it as one of your exes. Like, of course they're gonna hate you for leaving them alone for so long. You have to butter them up with some chocolates and some nice words. Like, you have to speak very nicely about it. And I'm at the part where we just argue all the time and have angry sex, and it's awful. Okay, all right, I'm good, I think.
Yep. All right, roll the outro.
All right, farewell.
This.
I spent all the effort. I explained it perfectly. They should read it, right? They should read it.